Welcome in. Happy Monday here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. I hope you guys are back home, settled, or maybe on the way back home. You caught a later flight, want to spend an extra day with the family, an extra morning with the family. Speaking of flights, this is a look at Charlotte Douglas. Thanksgiving is really over.
I know.
It's really, I ate too much.
You and I were both walking the parking lot.
Yeah,
I saw that.
So I was trying to walk off some of this German chocolate cake. I had 2 slices, banana pudding. I didn't get a chance to get to the pound
Did you
cake.
bring any for us like we asked?
No.
Yeah.
I do have cake on my desk. Or pie. It's actually technically pie.
What kind of cake? What kind of pie?
It's Mom's traditional chocolate chip pecan pie.
Oh, cool.
wow.
Okay, that sounds good.
But
And
I only brought one.
oh yeah, you got it. I've eaten too much cake. Meg Bragg is here.
Hi.
You didn't ask.
I did ask actually, and I think it's on the stream of me asking, so I can
did?
get the footage if you want.
You asked? I would have brought
did.
you a slice of cake.
Because we were talking about our favorite things at Thanksgiving, and you said my mom's chocolate cake, and I was like, I want to try that.
My bad.
Yeah,
I messed up.
It's your mom.
Next time she makes a chocolate cake, I will
All
bring
right.
you a slice.
I'm holding you to that this time.
Totally forgot. I did
Okay.
because I got slices for other people, not here in the newsroom, but
Like other people.
the other people. So I would have got
Well,
you a slice. Anyway, let's not get on me too much.
Yeah.
we need to get on the scammers.
That's right.
Because look, it is wow. It's cold outside.
It's so
Thanksgiving.
cold.
If Thanksgiving hit and it's like, here we are, holiday.
Winter. Yes. And it's kind of perfect, right? When you're putting up your holiday decorations or anything, get you in the spirit for it. But we're definitely going to be turning our heat up a little bit, especially with these colder temperatures, especially throughout the week. And because of that, we are looking at scammers specifically with utilities. This is the perfect time for them to come out of the woodwork and be like, hey, you owe us this, because people's bills are going to be a little bit higher, especially when they're turning up their heat.
Are they higher in the winter
Summer
time?
or winter?
Yeah.
It just depends. I know that for me, mine's higher in the summer just
Yeah.
because I like it freezing.
Yeah, same.
So if you're a person who doesn't like it cold, like our reporter Jessie, I know she's turning up that heat. So hers is going to be more expensive during the winter, right?
Okay.
And it just depends on your home too. If you have an older home, windows, insulation, that sort of thing. But because of this, the BBB and Duke and Piedmont Energy are coming out and being like, hey, be aware. You're going to maybe get a call from someone that's not going to be us. They're going to threaten you that you need to pay this bill right away, or else your heat will be shut off in an hour. So they're kind of trying to get to scare you, really.
Yeah.
And so what you should do is not listen to that, because Duke and Piedmont both have said that they will never call you and say you have an hour to pay something.
Yeah.
They will never threaten you like that. Also, too, these scammers will try to get you to pay through Zillow, through Venmo, Bitcoin, anything like that, because they know that you can't get that money back.
Right.
So if you're paying through a credit card, you can, say, hey, this
Dispute
is not,
the charge.
yeah, dispute the charge. But they're trying to get you to pay through a different venue, like an app, like a money app or Cash App, something like that. So be careful of that. Also, too, they want you to be aware of emails that you may be getting from scammers that aren't them. Make sure that you're going to the right place. And of course, if you do click on something, give information or something like that, you can reach out to the BBB. Or before you even do anything, you can reach out to your company and say, hey, got this weird thing, is this true? And they'll be able to tell you if you have to pay for something or not.
It's great advice, because no matter how many times we say something about, watch out for scams, it is always a shock to the system when people get like that email, that notification.
I know. All the time.
You panic because you're like, oh no, I don't. What I forgot.
Yeah,
I may have
I
forgot.
paid everything, right?
Yeah,
I thought I did.
yeah.
So yeah, just be aware of when your bill does come. Maybe you want to do auto pay.
Yeah.
So you already know that it's going, it's doing what it needs to do. I'm paying
Same.
for what I
don't
need
even
to
want
pay.
to look at the bill.
Oh, me neither. I'm like, just take it
Just
out.
take my
yeah,
money.
exactly.
Take it.
So those are some things. Like I said, if you want to report anything, you go to the BBB. So that's really what it boils down to. And also, too, it is that time of year, right?
Yeah.
We have utility scams, we have holiday scams, holiday hiring scams. I mean, scammers are really, especially Cyber Monday right now, is today. Man. You're going to see a lot of those Instagram, social media posts of like, ooh, look at this.
Right.
And their head's always cut off and you just see the dress, right? Like that sort of
You're
thing.
like, man, that's a nice
and
dress.
I'm like, dang, it's only $10? Like, yeah. So don't be fooled. Really, you got to do your own research. Make sure you're spending your money where it needs to go and not have somebody take your money.
Meg, my next question is?
I don't think the assignments came out yet, so I am not sure.
I got you. Meg, you can catch Meg's story at 6:15 this evening. I actually knew that before checking. I remembered as I was in that part of the meeting. So,
okay. Yeah.
So at 6:15, you can check out the story. It'll be on our digital platforms. You want to check it out because, again, as much as we talk about scams, it only takes one click of the link.
Only takes one.
One answer of the phone call. So, yeah. All right, Meg. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And speaking of, winter, or I should say we're approaching winter, but speaking of this winter weather type feel outside, we're still in fall technically, right, James?
Well, it depends who you ask.
Who you ask? That's what I was like.
Today's the first day of meteorological winter.
Okay. It's cold outside. That's just and
That's all that matters.
it's going to be like this for a while. Let's check in with Brad, Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich, who's checking the forecast and what you need to look out for.
Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here. We have an active week of weather and an active storm track. For the first time in about, 2 months. It's been a while. We've been in a drought. We're finally going to get storm systems, and each one, because of the time of year, has the potential for a little bit of wintry mischief, especially in the mountains and foothills. So let's start with today. Today is Monday, December 1st, the beginning of December here. You could see our storm system developing out west. This is what's going to be heading our way. That's the storm system. Now, the key part for us, we also have high pressure building over New England that is providing northeast winds. This is the good old-fashioned wedge or cold air damming you hear us talk about. This sets the stage for these miserable cold rains and potentially sometimes some ice in a wintry mix. So let's get right to the forecast for this thing pushing east, and we'll talk about one of three systems that could impact this over the next week or so. All right, so here's the short range futurecast, kind of shows you the setup here. I put the isobars on here, which are these blue lines, which you'll see on the map. And what you're looking at here is the northeast wind. This is the wedge of cold air. Anytime you see the isobars angled like this east of the mountains, that's a sign we've got high pressure over New England, the eastern Great Lakes, which is providing the cold air at the surface. The problem is that's shallow cold air. Typically, there's warmer air aloft, and you're probably saying, well, where's the warmer air coming from? Well, this low pressure system, it's a pretty strong low pressure system down here, and this is going to bring the potential for some warmer air above our heads, 5,000 to 6,000 feet, coming in from the southeast or southwest, overriding that cool air at the surface. So what happens is, as temperatures cool off at the surface, sometimes you get some icing. Now, you can get icing to continue or become a big ice storm if the supply of cold air continues, because a little bit of science here, the one thing about freezing rain, it's a self-limiting process. And what do I mean by that? Well, this goes back to science class, latent heat, okay? So think about when you boil water on the stove, right? You have to add heat to the water to get it boil. Now, when you freeze water, you do the opposite, right? To cool it down, you have to remove heat from the water. So when you freeze water, you remove heat from the liquid, and it's got to go somewhere. In the atmosphere, when you freeze rain, the heat that escapes from the raindrop to make it a piece of ice has to go somewhere. It goes into the air and warms it up. So unless you have a constant supply to reinforce that cold air, eventually that latent heat release will warm up the atmosphere enough to get it above freezing where the freezing rain stops. So in this case, the warm air advection, we call it, is so strong that eventually it overcomes that process, and we don't have an anchoring high over the northeast, which stops the latent heat from warming the atmosphere up. So it limits itself. So you see the ice. I'll show you where it is. It's those typical spots, and if you live in the mountains, you know these areas. Man, Pinola, Jonas Ridge area, up to Newland, Blowing Rock area, up towards Fleetwood. These are the areas, eastern-facing slopes, the opposite of the northwest flow snow. Icing events are usually on the eastern-facing slopes, and so you see that ice there early tomorrow morning. Again, 4 or 5 in the morning. This is all rain for everybody else, by the way. Eventually, it changes to rain for everybody, and that's some pretty heavy rain. So I'll loop this out into the afternoon. It starts to dry out as drier air filters in, and we should be completely dry by the evening. So it's really your Tuesday morning commute that gets absolutely clobbered with heavy rain for everybody and ice in the mountains. So in particular, the area that I'm watching, so we're really focused on those eastern facing slopes. So here's what I'm talking about. We'll kind of zoom in on it real quickly here and show you the area of icing. So you see there, eastern facing slopes of Yancey, Mitchell, Upper Burke, McDowell, Caldwell counties, eastern Watauga, Ashe counties, and a little bit up in the Yadkin Valley. That's the area we expect the ice. Now, everybody else, tons of rain. So this is a good thing. I know it's kind of miserable cold rain. I'll be honest with you. Nothing worse than cold rain, but in a drought, and it hasn't really rained in 2 months, this will be the most rain we've seen since like the middle of October. So it's been a while, all right? So this is going to be a good soaking rain for all of us. Now, before I leave you, that's tomorrow's system, okay? Be alert for that. We could have a very active storm track this week, so I'm going to move this over a little bit, and we're going to focus on storm number 1, which we just talked about coming in Tuesday, same system. There could be another very similar storm system coming in late this week, and again, looking at the timing of this, it looks to be Friday, Saturday, not that system, right here. So this is going into Saturday morning, really Friday night, Saturday morning. I'll be honest, the models are kind of all over the place on the strength of the system, but it's another low pressure system that could form on the coast and move up this direction and we should have cold air in place for possibly more wintry weather in the mix. And then even next week, it looks like maybe another system doesn't go out that far on our guidance here, but maybe early next week. So as I mentioned, a pretty active storm track this week where we could have a bunch of these cold rain, brief icing events, but nothing that looks like a winter storm per se, where we're looking at snow and ice for a big chunk of our area. It's not even all snow for the mountains, which tells you how marginal these events are. At least you'd love to see more snow risk in the mountains. This looks to be primarily ice. And just to give you a heads up for the folks in the mountains tomorrow, this is our winter weather impact graphic. And again, you see the areas in yellow. That's a moderate impact here east of the mountains. And notice it's all the eastern facing slopes that are impacted. I'll widen this out and you show the storm track is really up here in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, into the northeast. That's where it's primarily going to be snow. For us, we're looking at primarily an ice event, and unfortunately, that looks to be the amount of ice we're going to see. So I'll do updates throughout the week. Just know we're in December. Meteorologically, it is winter now, and we're going to start to see the storms everyone have to keep an eye on. But the good news, at least in all of this, we're finally getting rain every 2 to 3 days. This is a typical storm track. It's supposed to do this in the fall, winter, and spring. So hopefully this will get us out of the drought while we wait for maybe deeper cold air and potential for wintry weather down the road. December typically isn't our snow month for the Piedmont. Remember, it's January, February, and even early March.
And with that, we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So we want to take you now, and just wrapped up, but we want to take you to the beginning in case you missed it. West Virginia's governor holding a press conference to give updates on the D.C. shooting of the 2 West Virginia National Guard members. Let's take a listen into that press conference.
And I want to show great respect for them. I know that there are going to be a lot of questions about the timeline for when this occurs. Just as we learn things, we'll be happy to pass them along to you. You know, a lot of questions come up about the nature of the service that the Guardsmen were performing. This was noble service. I had a chance, along with General Seward, to spend Thanksgiving Day with the members of the unit at the Armory and talk to them. Every single one of the people who are there right now are volunteering We're looking at approximately 170 people from the West Virginia National Guard that are still stationed in DC. And once again, they're volunteering. They're volunteering because they believe in the mission. They want to support the state of West Virginia. They want to support the country. And I think that can't be lost. These are people that understand that the mission was good, that there was an opportunity to try to reduce crime in the District of Columbia. By all measures, it's been working. And so I know that they're proud of that work. They're understandably going through a very, very difficult time right now because they lost one of their own and another is in very serious condition. But it is the state of West Virginia's intent, my intent, General Seward's intent, to do everything we can to help those guardsmen adjust to this and to help the families of those who were impacted. We know that there's a lot of information that hasn't yet come out, and there will be more information in the days, weeks, and months ahead. There is a comprehensive investigation going on by the federal government. Now, I've had a chance to talk to the president, and I've talked to the attorney general, and we're going to make sure that we're deferring to that process. I am reassured that there is a complete and full investigation going on, so while there'll be a lot of pundits who want to speculate about what happened and wrongly go to different places, we're not going to do that. We're not going to play into that. We're going to talk about this based on the facts that we know, and at this point, that investigation is ongoing. We know that there's been a lot of discussion about a criminal prosecution as well. The most important thing that I can tell the citizens of West Virginia is people are rightfully angry. They're rightfully angry about what's happening right now. And I believe that justice must be done in this case, and that justice will be meted out. That'll be done based upon our criminal justice system, and it'll be done the right way. And as we learn more about the process that's being run by the feds, we're happy to share that with you. We're trying to stay in touch with all the relevant people on the ground to provide information to the public. When we left Wednesday night. I flew up with the Guard to go to the hospital. I believe I was at the hospital at least 4 times, and obviously we spent time with the Guards members. There's no timeline as to what will happen in terms of additional visits, but what I can tell you is that Andrew's family is going to get all the help that we can provide out of West Virginia. Right now, a lot of that is emphasizing the need for prayer, and I want to keep saying that because I believe that prayer can move mountains. It can create miracles, and I know that Melody, Andrew's mom, and Jason, Andrew's dad, believe that. And these are people, they're good folks, and I think a lot of the communities are rallying behind them. We know that since this tragedy occurred, there have been a number of additional announcements by the president, and I think he's working hard to get to the bottom of this. I also want to express my support for some of the new vetting proposals that are being talked about. I think when you have millions of people that come in, undocumented aliens, or there are loopholes, as what had presumably happened in this particular situation, that has to be cleaned up, and I applaud President Trump for his efforts, what he's doing to look at all of that in order to get to the right place. So we know that there's going to be a lot that'll be coming up in the days and weeks ahead. I wanted to come before you so I can answer questions you have. I would ask that there are going to be some areas that you asked that we're not going to get out ahead of the medical person. I'm not going to get out ahead of the families, and we're not going to get ahead of the criminal investigation. So with that as the caveat, I'd first like to turn it over to General Seward, who has been leading admirably, and he'll say a few words, and then we will take questions.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. I want to tell the members of the West Virginia National Guard that our family has joined together across this state and in DC our family members in the Guard that are in the Middle East, that are in Europe, that are on the southwest border. I've heard from all of those regions, and we're praying together. We are a family, 6,000 plus strong, and so when we lose one of our family members, I can tell you that every Guardsman I've talked to is grieving. And that process in the early stages includes denial and anger and bargaining, and I've heard from all of our members of how they're going through those phases, and I promise you that my senior enlisted leader, Dusty Jones, and we've been up there since Wednesday. I was actually in the district when it occurred. I was not on scene. My wife and I got picked up and taken on scene shortly thereafter. And those soldiers and airmen that were present were strong, courageous, and they were grieving. And they continue to grieve, and they continue to pray for Andy and for Sarah's family and for all of their fellow members that are serving across the world. I will tell you that they're standing strong. Our men and women are trained professionals. They are deputized U.S. Marshals in the district. When they're on patrol, they're armed, and they are trained. I'm confident in their ability. I remain confident in their ability. In briefings with senior law enforcement officials in the district this week, I will tell you that dozens of them have told me, those involved in the investigation, that our members performed their duties as they have been trained, and they are proud of them, and I am proud of them. Because Andy's mom has asked for prayers, I will reiterate that I spoke with her last night before I left, and she said if I got the chance to talk to anyone, to please ask them to continue to pray for Andy, their family, for Sarah's family, and for all of our National Guard. Thank you.
Thank you. As we're all gathered today, we know that a lot of people in West Virginia, the Guard, the families of the individuals who were gunned down, we know that there's unspeakable evil that's occurred. Unspeakable evil. I want to take a moment also, though, and emphasize the amazing positive response of the people of West Virginia, of how the families have reacted, how the communities are stepping up, people showing support through prayers, through other types of acts. West Virginia comes together during these difficult times, and they stand behind the men and women in uniform. And we're certainly going to continue to stand behind the men and women in uniform and do everything we can to help them, not just today, but in the weeks and months ahead. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions from folks. Stephen.
Governor, you've used the phrase volunteer pretty frequently. I know you had some social media posts where you put it all in bold. So I think it's pretty clear that since November 17th, the force that remains, 170 we're talking about, are there as volunteers, part of the original force that you authorized back in August to be there at the request of President Trump, and these are strictly volunteers. But walk us through that decision, because at least according to the November 8th press release from the West Virginia National Guard, you are the one that authorized the volunteer force to remain there. So who asked us to keep a volunteer force there? How did that decision come about? To keep this contingent there through the end of the year?
Absolutely. So we know that we entered the district back in August, and after that happened, there were questions about how many people would be in the district. contributions from West Virginia and from other different states. So there's usually a rotation that occurs in terms of when guardsmen stay, and that as there are questions about how long we would stay, I made the decision to have the word come down that we would ask the people if they wanted to volunteer. And there was never any pressure. This was done that if people wanted to stay and fulfill the mission, they could. I was pleased to report that between about 160 and 170 people had asked to do that. And so that's why I emphasize that these are people that knew the mission. They agreed with the mission. I think the mission has been largely successful, and they wanted to serve their state and they wanted to serve their country. So I had extensive conversations with the National Guard, and I wanted to make this voluntary because anytime someone is doing that, there's a lot of sacrifice that's involved, and people give up time with their families. They take leave from work. They leave their communities, especially during the holiday season, but these are people that wanted to be there and they wanted to continue the mission. Brad?
Brad McElhenney, West Virginia Metro News. Can you drill down with a little more detail? Who puts out the call to volunteer? And then how do people respond? Is it raise your hand, go to someone and say, I would like to, fill out some forms? Technically, what is the process?
I can speak.
Yeah, General, do you want to speak to that?
Sir, we put out the call with our joint office. I have a joint operations team. Let's give a...
All right, so that's a press conference there in Charleston, West Virginia, giving us an update on those 2 National Guard members shot in Washington, D.C. last week. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So today is day 1 of ARENA's law. So this law goes into effect today. So let me lay it out for you. So the law is named after Irina Zurutska, who was killed on Charlotte's light rail earlier this year. And so the man accused in her death had a lengthy criminal record and had been released multiple times without paying bail. Now, under this new law, judges and magistrates must follow stricter pre-trial release standards for individuals charged with violent offenses, limiting when, quote, cashless bail can be used. Now, courts may also order earlier mental health evaluations following an arrest. Now, this law, back when it was a bill, now law, has got a lot of folks talking about it, from obviously folks who introduced this bill, lawmakers, and to our public officials here in Mecklenburg County, community advocates, folks in the community as well. I want to bring in Bria Smith, who is covering this story today, day one of the law. So you reached out to law enforcement officials, but you also got a chance to talk to people here in our community. What are they saying?
Yeah, actually, people who utilize the light rail system daily for work or whatever their business is, and you know, operate this space, whether it's, you know, they live there in that area, and really split views on the law, Nick, that people have. Some say that, you know, they feel that, you know, there are incidents that happen all the time. Laws aren't made for every single incident, or certain things don't get, you know, the coverage that they probably should for a said area that might be, you know, a problem area. And so they kind of feel that it's in a way, you know, to them unfair that this is the only incident that's kind of sparking interest of, you know, a new law. But then others, you know, are hopeful that this law and all the things that it'll address, like mental health, which was like a big thing that they pointed out, they're hopeful that, you know, that'll kind of alleviate some of the issues that we're seeing here in Charlotte. So really two sides to really look at it, but they are hopeful, and they did notice, or rather highlight the fact that, you know, they need to take a look. City leaders, you know, government officials need to take a look and probably do some reform in certain areas. So
it sounds like folks were optimistic. I guess.
Yeah. I think overall, that's what I got from them, is that they are hopeful that this will benefit, you know, the people in their community. But some others did have some question about, you know, how it'll all kind of pan out. So.
Yeah, I know you're still working on the story. Again, we heard a lot of thoughts from Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden, to GOP leaders, to the mayor, everybody, and community stakeholders. I feel like a lot of people had a lot of opinions about it. But again, Arenas Law is in effect today. You can catch Bria's story at 5 and 6 o'clock this evening. Bria, thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, let's move on now. James, where you want to go? Okay, let's go to this. So earlier today, let me pull up some information for you guys.
No problem, Nick. I put you on the spot. Nick's going to bring us to the First Lady's event in Washington while we await. I'll also just mention that we're awaiting live the White House press briefing. So we have two White House-related pieces of content here for you, Nick.
There you go. So let's hear from First Lady Melania Trump right now, in case you missed it.
12 days ago, I visited MCAS, New River, and Camp Lejeune to spend time with our brave Marines, military, connected students, and their families. I wanted to thank the team here at St. Andrews for supporting that important visit. Today, we are surrounded by people whose strength is often quiet, but always powerful. We speak regularly of the bravery of our service members, and we should. But we must also illuminate the bravery of those who walk beside them, the spouses who carry the weight of family life on top of their own dreams. Your lives require a resilience that few outside the military can understand. Moves that make you to take across the country and around the world. Holidays spent with an empty chair at the table. Milestones celebrated over screen because the person you love is thousands of miles away. And yet, through every transition, every deployment, every homecoming, you continue to show grace, determination, and unbreakable spirit. You keep life steady for your children. You manage homes, careers, finances, and schedules, all all while giving comfort to your family. You carry this extra responsibility because you love someone who has sworn to serve. Today, we are here with the American Red Cross, which has stood beside military families for generations. The Red Cross supports our service members, veterans, caregivers, and survivors across the globe. We are grateful for all they do to support and strengthen our military families. As we celebrate this season of hope, I encourage everyone to also take care of yourselves. Your well-being is vital, not just for your families, but for your own future. Your journey matters, your voice matters, and your strength continue to inspire us all. Every package built here today is built with American values. Each represents liberty, love, community, and honor. Each is delivered with heart and love, the foundation of our great nation. May this Christmas bring peace to your homes, safety to those who are deployed, and gratitude in the hearts of every American who thanks you for your service and sacrifice. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
All right, so that was the First Lady there speaking at a Red Cross event there in Washington, D.C. just moments ago. Let's get a quick break in. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. So we talked about it earlier, folks heading back today as we round out some of this Thanksgiving travel. That is a live look at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Again, some folks headed back today. Hey, look, hey, nothing wrong with having Monday off. Nothing wrong with having Monday off. Well, all right, so some folks are having an easier time than others when it comes to travel. Let's check in with NBC's Maggie Vespa with a look at what could be some trouble for some folks who are flying.
Hey there from O'Hare, arguably the epicenter of this post-Thanksgiving travel mess. We had more than 8.5 inches of snow fall here since Saturday, and what followed were thousands of cancellations and delays at this airport alone, with, of course, those travel headaches rippling across the country. We saw long lines at airports nationwide yesterday, with travelers racing to rebook impacted flights. We also confirmed 2 reports of planes sliding across tarmacs, one here at O'Hare, another one in Iowa, and then in Indiana, the snow wreaking havoc. We saw a nearly 50-car pileup on I-70, so a scary scene there. Now, travel analysts stress the post-Thanksgiving travel rush is still very much ongoing, with more than 3 million people expected to pass through America's airports today. That number is on par with what we saw Saturday and Sunday, so we are by no means out of the woods. And we just checked delays and cancellations early this morning, topping 1,000 quickly nationwide. So we'll keep an eye on those numbers throughout the day, with so many crossing their fingers for a smooth trip home. Back to you.
All right, so that is the latest from the skies, and right now we are keeping an eye there as we await for the weekly White House briefing. There, reporters are set, and we are just waiting for Caroline Leavitt to come out so we can hear an update from the Trump administration. But before we get to that, and as we wait on that, we want to give you an update on the conflict between Israel and Gaza. So so this is the latest from NBC. Israeli attacks in Gaza have killed more than 70,000 people in over 2 years of the war now, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry, as the death toll continues to climb despite the ongoing ceasefire. So that ceasefire, which was put in place recently, is constantly being tested. Let's get to the latest from NBC on the conflict.
The overall death toll in the Gaza Strip has now hit 70,000 people killed since October 2023, according to local officials inside of the Gaza Strip. We understand, according to UNICEF, that children have been killed at a rate about 2 a day since the latest ceasefire deal went into effect on October 11th, some 356 people overall. Now, there are as well some issues with the yellow line that demarcates the portion of the Gaza Strip that is controlled by the IDF, the Israeli military, and the portion of the Gaza Strip that the IDF is meant to have withdrawn from, with some confusion about where that line lies. We understand over the weekend that 2 children were killed as they approached that yellow line. In other news here in Israel, the prime minister of this country, Benjamin Netanyahu, has sent a letter to the president, Isaac Herzog, requesting a pardon from the various corruption trials that he has been facing. It is a letter that is only 1 page long, requesting an end to his trial. And so it's going to be very interesting to see if indeed the president of this country pardons Benjamin Netanyahu, and what the political and strategic implications of that will be.
All right, so I want to give you an update on the situation when it comes to the U.S. and the growing tensions with Venezuela. So President Trump, and this is from CNN, President Donald Trump will hold a meeting at the White House this evening about the next steps on Venezuela. That's according to sources familiar with the matter, told CNN, as the administration intensifies its pressure campaign on the country now. Key members of Trump's cabinet and national security team, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, are expected to attend this meeting. Just some of the people that are going to be at this meeting, as well as the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, and again, a couple other people. Again, that meeting is set for 5 p.m. at the Oval Office, again, as that increased pressure on Venezuela with strikes on drug vessels and a military asset buildup in the Caribbean. Let's get now to the latest on where we stand now ahead of that meeting this evening.
This morning, President Trump defending his defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, amid mounting scrutiny of U.S. boat strikes near Venezuela.
I have great confidence.
The controversy centering on September 2nd strikes on a boat the Trump administration alleges was carrying illegal drugs. On Friday, the Washington Post reporting, citing two sources, that after the first strike left survivors, a second strike was conducted to comply with a Hegseth order to kill all on board. Trump responding on Air Force One.
He said he did not say that, and I believe him 100%.
And asked if the second strike would be legal.
Number one, I don't know that happened. And Pete said he did not want them. He didn't even know what people were talking about. So we'll look into it. But no, I wouldn't have wanted that. Not a second strike.
Hegseth posting our current operations in the Caribbean are lawful. In a rare break with the president, Republican leaders of the Senate and House Armed Services Committees are pledging rigorous oversight.
I don't think he would be fooled.
This morning, President Trump defending his defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, amid mounting scrutiny of U.S. boat strikes near Venezuela.
I have great confidence.
The controversy centering on September 2nd strikes on a boat the Trump administration alleges was carrying illegal drugs. On Friday, the Washington Post reporting, citing two sources, that after the first strike left survivors, a second strike was conducted to comply with a Hegseth order to kill all on board. Trump responding on Air Force One.
He said he did not say that, and I believe him 100%.
And asked if the second strike would be legal.
Number one, I don't know that happened. And Pete said he did not want them. He didn't even know what people were talking about. So we'll look into it. But no, I wouldn't have wanted that. Not a second strike.
Hegseth posting our current operations in the Caribbean are lawful. In a rare break with the president, Republican leaders of the Senate and House Armed Services Committees are pledging rigorous oversight.
I don't think he would be foolish enough to make this decision to say, kill everybody, kill the survivors, because that's a clear violation of the law of war.
Obviously, if that occurred, that would be very serious, and I agree that would be an illegal act.
Over the past few months, U.S. boat strikes have killed more than 80 people. The Trump administration says the attacks are necessary to fight drug cartels, but has not provided evidence of its allegations about the boats. The U.S. has also been sending thousands of troops to the Caribbean. The president now posting that all airlines should consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed. Asked whether that meant an airstrike was imminent.
Don't read anything into it.
All right, so that's the latest there. I'm sure that's going to be addressed during the White House briefing that's set to happen any moment now. We are waiting for that. Usually the big signal is when the TV's cut on there. But again, as we wait, look, we are expecting to get updates. So we wanted to kind of catch you up on some of the big things that are happening within the administration, the Trump administration. All right, let's shift gears. So today is Monday, obviously, but tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. It is a day to give back. There are a ton of nonprofits here in the Charlotte area. Our nonprofits are the backbone of our community. Some of our real heroes in our community doing incredible work. And so recently we heard from Share Charlotte, and they are celebrating Giving Tuesday at the Pearl in a big way. So we heard from Share Charlotte. They came in studio, spoke with Jay Mario. Let's take a listen in.
Well, at 147, it has become one of Charlotte's biggest days of giving. It is Giving Tuesday Charlotte. It's coming up on its 12th year this Tuesday, December 2nd. It's going to take place at the Pearl Innovation District. Joining us right now is Susan Arrington. Susan, with Share Charlotte. Thanks for coming in here the day after Thanksgiving. How are you?
Good to be here.
Nice to have you. For those of our viewers who may not be familiar, tell us where Giving Tuesday Charlotte came from, how it started here in Charlotte.
Yeah, well, Giving Tuesday CLT, Giving Tuesday Charlotte is, part of the global day of giving that originated with Giving Tuesday in New York. And Charlotte is one of the OG communities for having their own Giving Tuesday celebration. So yeah, we're in our 12th year, as you said. Over those last 11 years, it's resulted in $52.1 million in impact for Charlotte nonprofits. So that's items given, that's dollars given, and that's volunteer time given. Really a good day of impact for us.
Incredible number, 52 million. What kind of impact has that made for our community?
Well, I mean, it's just, our nonprofits show up for our community every single day. We all know, especially over the last couple of weeks, how they've been really showing up with, SNAP benefits, the pause of that, everything going on with immigration. Our nonprofits are just always rising to the occasion. And this money fuels all the things that they're able to do for us. Plus things that go on throughout the year in terms of educating our children, keeping our healthy communities, on, and this just powers them on.
This year you're hosting a headquarters event at the Pearl. What can folks expect this go around?
Yeah, it's just a day to be a part of the movement that's, around people that are, inspired and celebrating generosity. So we'll have some on-site volunteer opportunities for folks. You can stuff postpartum kits with one of our nonprofits. You can fill welcome baskets, write notes of encouragements for another nonprofit for families that are moving into their first homes. It's also we'll have lots of media interviews throughout the day, so you'll be getting to see and hear the stories of our nonprofits, the money that they're trying to raise, and the impact they're trying to make.
Are there specific nonprofits or causes that people can support through Giving Tuesday Charlotte, and how does that work?
Well, actually on our site, so our site is sharecharlotte.org, we have more than 800 nonprofits that serve Mecklenburg County neighbors, and you can support all of them. Some of them are just, small nonprofits that have, a founder and maybe one staff member, to all of the larger nonprofits in the city that we know about, like United Way. They all have goals. They're all trying to make their financial goals towards the end of the year or fund specific programs that they have coming up. So, this is just a place, whether you're passionate about animals or working with the elderly or you care about literacy in children, on our site we make it really easy for you to find those causes and find ways to support them.
We know a lot of people in our community want to give back, especially around the holidays. What is Giving Tuesday Charlotte, what makes it so different from other opportunities?
Well, this is just a day, it's sort of just a rallying point. So Charlotte is, really a generous city. We see that when even our neighbors in Hurricane Helene, the way that Charlotte responded. But this is just a day that really gets counted in terms of evaluating giving in our city. So this December 2nd, this Tuesday, really is just a way for all of us to be part of one thing together and kind of make a stand for Charlotte and our nonprofits.
Do they need to come to the Pearl, or they can do it from home?
No, you can give from anywhere you'd like to. One really cool thing through our partners at Lowe's Home Improvement, if you give more than $50 to your favorite nonprofit on our site, the first 300 of those dollars, 300 gifts of $50 or more, will be matched with a $50 gift card back to those nonprofits, so they can provide tools or other essential items they need. It's sort of a match program through Lowe's. So yeah, you can make all of your donations right there at sharecharlotte.org.
Awesome. You said about 800 local nonprofits.
Yes.
And the biggest needs. Like you mentioned, so many things that Charlotte and really the country's been facing here this year. But what are some of the specific needs that you feel like Charlotteans are facing this year?
Right now, of course, our nonprofits that are feeding our community members, they've already had to go over and above. And so what they've been counting on, to have, they've already used a lot of that surplus. And so the need for food in our community is going to continue, especially when some people still don't feel safe to go out and get food. We have nonprofits that are delivering food in our community. We also know it's been widely discussed that Charlotte, has some mobilization issues. And so there's lots of nonprofits, dedicated to helping to break down those barriers and give our children more access so they can mobilize and grow in our community and stay in our community. We're also doing a lot with workforce development in Charlotte to try and keep our great talent here. And so if you find causes, if you love Charlotte, you can love local and give local and really support, and all of your giving stays here in your backyard.
And that's why giving locally matters, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Any other thoughts for our viewers today, Susan?
No, we just want to thank you. We just, there's so many ways that you can give. You can give items, you can give dollars, but everyone in Charlotte does have something to give. Even if it's just an hour of your time, that does matter to a nonprofit. So don't underestimate the power of what you can do.
Well said. Giving Tuesday Charlotte is this Tuesday, December 2nd at the Pearl. And for more information, people can go to, one more time?
sharecharlotte.org.
All right. Susan from Share Charlotte, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. And we will be right back here.
All right, so that was a great one-on-one with Jane Monreal and Share Charlotte. You can check out the interview right now on our digital platforms. All right, let's head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Again, as we mentioned earlier, we are awaiting White House press briefing that is set to happen soon. The TVs are on, so it will happen in just moments. But first, earlier today, we heard from Pope Leo. He gathered leaders of Lebanon's religious communities to the front line of the country's Sectarian civil war on Monday and urged peaceful coexistence in a region beset by bloodshed and tumult. That's from Reuters that I'm reading this from. Again, we heard from Pope Leo XIV. In case you missed it, let's take a listen in.
Towering cedars, emblems of the righteous soul that flourishes beneath heaven's vigilant gaze. A land where the echo of the Logos has never fallen silent, but continues to call forth from century to century those who desire to open their hearts to the living God. In his post-synodal apostolic exhortation, Ecclesia in Medio Oriente, signed here in Beirut in 2012, Pope Benedict XVI emphasized that the Church's universal nature and vocation require that she engage in dialogue with the members of other religions. In the Middle East, this dialogue is based on the spiritual and historical bonds uniting Christians to Jews and Muslims. It is a dialogue which is not primarily dictated by pragmatic political or social considerations, but by underlying theological concerns which have to do with faith. Dear friends, your presence here today in this remarkable place where minarets and church bell towers stand side by side, yet both reach skyward, testifies to the enduring faith of this land and the steadfast devotion of its people to the one God. Here in this beloved land, may every bell toll, every adhan, every call to prayer blend into a single soaring hymn, not only to glorify the merciful Creator of heaven and earth, but also to lift a heartfelt prayer for the divine gift of peace. For many years, and especially in recent times, the eyes of the world have been fixed on the Middle East, the cradle of the Abrahamic religions, observing the arduous journey and the unceasing quest for the precious gift of peace. At times, humanity looks at the Middle East with a sense of trepidation and disheartenment in the face of such complex and long-standing conflicts. Yet in the midst of these struggles, a sense of hopefulness and encouragement can be found when we focus on what unites us, our common humanity, and our belief in a God of love and mercy. In an age when coexistence can seem like a distant dream, the people of Lebanon, while embracing different religions, stand as a powerful reminder that fear, distrust, and prejudice do not have the final word, and that unity, reconciliation, and peace are possible. It is a mission that remains unchanged throughout the history of this beloved land, to bear witness to the enduring truth that Christians, Muslims, Druze, and countless others can live together and build a country united by respect and dialogue. "60 years ago, the Second Vatican Council, with the promulgation of the Declaration Nostra Aetate, opened a new horizon for encounter and mutual respect between Catholics and people of different religions, emphasizing that true dialogue and collaboration is rooted in love, the only foundation for peace, justice, and reconciliation. This dialogue inspired by divine love, should embrace all people of goodwill, reject prejudice, discrimination, and persecution, and affirm the equal dignity of every human being. Though the public ministry of Jesus unfolded chiefly in Galilee and Judea, the Gospels also recount episodes where he visited the region of the Decapolis, and most notably the environs of Tyre and Sidon, where...
All right, so that is Pope Leo speaking in Beirut. We want to take you now, happening live, the White House press briefing. Let's take a listen in.
Ahead. Tomorrow, President Trump will host his 9th cabinet meeting of the year alongside his incredible cabinet, who continue to deliver for the American people at a record pace. Later in the afternoon tomorrow, the president will make an announcement in the Oval Office on his initiative to create Trump accounts to give the next generation of Americans a jump start on savings. It will be a very exciting announcement indeed, especially for all of the parents across the country with young children and babies. On Thursday, President Trump will host the presidents of the Republic of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo to sign the historic peace and economic agreement that he brokered. On Thursday night, the President and the First Lady will celebrate one of America's greatest traditions, the lighting of the national Christmas tree on the Ellipse. And on Friday, President Trump will attend the FIFA World Cup final draw at the Kennedy Center. You all will be seeing and hearing from the President every day this week, so you have me today, and then he will take on the rest of the week himself. Next, I would like to address the horrific tragedy that took place in our nation's capital last week. A foreign terrorist that the Biden administration failed to properly vet ambushed 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard who were honorably serving here to keep the residents and visitors of Washington, D.C. safe. U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf was severely wounded in the attack and remains hospitalized while he continues to fight for his life. Tragically, U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom died of her wounds. She was just 20 years old. President Trump and the entire White House are praying for Andrew's full recovery at the request of his parents and their personal phone call with the president over the weekend. And we are keeping Sarah's family and friends in our prayers during this unimaginably difficult time. Sarah and Andrew represent the very best of America. 2 young patriots who were willing to put on the uniform and risk their lives in defense of their fellow Americans. Both of them truly embody the profound words spoken by Jesus Christ in the gospel. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Sarah and Andrew are heroes, and we will never forget their sacrifice. That means ensuring the monster responsible for this atrocity is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and faces the most severe punishment possible. It also means reckoning with why this atrocity was allowed to happen in the first place, so that it may never occur again. Here are the facts. The terrorist who gunned down American soldiers blocks away from the White House in an ambush was an Afghan national who was flown into our country by Joe Biden's administration in September 2021 in the chaotic wake of their botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our great country. Joe Biden's historic failure in Afghanistan continues to haunt this country and our men and women in uniform. Not only did this surrender lead to a suicide bombing that killed 13 American heroes in Kabul, but now National Guard troops were shot on U.S. soil by the same kind of enemy. We continue to live with the deadly consequences of Joe Biden's horrific leadership. Nearly 100,000 Afghans were recklessly released into the United States with little to no vetting. There was no regard for the disorder and violence that this would unleash on American communities and American culture. Reportedly, thousands of these strangers and unknown individuals were flagged to the Biden administration for national security, public safety, and fraud concerns. But the terrifying truth is that the Afghanistan debacle is just a small part of Democrats' complete and total betrayal of the American people during the Biden years. The tragedy that we just witnessed the day before Thanksgiving is a reminder that untold thousands of terrorists, gang members, and criminals were invited into our country and remain here to this very day. The border is now secure, thanks to President Trump. But the threat in our interior remains real and urgent. These public safety threats are already inside our land. And President Trump was elected on a promise to find and remove them. And he has already taken significant steps and made significant progress towards fulfilling this promise. But there is more work to be done because President Trump believes that he has a sacred obligation to reverse the calamity of mass, unchecked migration into our country. As a result, the Trump administration is now actively re-examining all of the Afghans imported into the country by any individual who threatens our national security or our citizenry will be subject to removal. President Trump has already permanently paused migration of foreign nationals from third world countries that pose a very high risk to the United States. For too long, past American presidents supported self-destructive immigration policies that allowed foreigners who outright hate our country and have no interest in assimilating into our culture. They've allowed these individuals to flood peaceful American communities. This disastrous approach has drained our welfare program, driven up the cost of housing, suppressed wages, and jeopardized the safety of law-abiding American citizens. In fact, according to a new bombshell report from the New York Times, Somalian migrants in Minnesota have defrauded nearly $1 billion in taxpayer-funded benefits under Democrat Governor Walz's leadership. President Trump is putting an end to this dangerous America Last approach. His position is rooted in common sense. In the wake of last week's atrocity, it is more important than ever to finish carrying out the president's mass deportation operation. America cannot allow millions upon millions of unvetted illegal aliens to be rewarded with amnesty after they broke our nation's laws to come here. They must go back to their home countries. It is also essential to immediately address the massive fraud and corruption that has been going on for decades in other aspects of our immigration system, most notably when it comes to asylum claims. Millions of people who have come here under false pretenses are told blatant lies now enjoy temporary legal status. President Trump is ending this scam as well, and I would point out that the Democrats have tried to block this administration from doing so at every turn with lawsuit after lawsuit. The hard truth is that even when it comes to our legal immigration system, past presidents have failed to ensure that all prospective citizens love America, will add value and contribute to our communities, and will assimilate into our culture. Leaders have a duty to defend and advance the interests of their own people, not foreign nationals. Leaders also have a duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity. That is why President Trump is more committed than ever to fully restoring American sovereignty by keeping our borders secure, removing all illegal alien invaders, and rebuilding a legal immigration system that makes sense and benefits our country. President Trump has no higher responsibility than to defend our homeland and our people, and he will never waver in doing so. With that, I will open it up to questions, and we'll lead today with Isabel Brown, who is in our new media seat. She's a very popular face on television these days. She's built a great independent media podcast and platform with the Daily Wire, and I appreciate your being here, Isabel. Thank you for being
Caroline. Appreciate it, and appreciate the briefing. Many Americans, in light of these recent events that you just mentioned, are starting to say that we are being invaded as a country, culturally and logistically, when it comes to immigration. And we know that immigration without assimilation is indeed invasion. So given the recent remarks from Vice President Vance on a college campus about dramatically reducing legal immigration to address some of this crisis, and President Trump's Truth Social post last week about individuals who may be non-compatible with Western civilization, are there any conversations happening or plans being made behind the scenes for the administration to implement at least a temporary immigration moratorium, for example, in light of what the American people might be calling for?
So, Isabel, it's a great question, and I think I spoke a little bit to the heart of your question in my opener there. I would add that the Trump administration has done more to limit migration, legal and illegal, than any administration in history. And I'll just walk you through some of the actions that we have taken thus far. Number one, the Trump administration issued a travel ban for 19 countries, including Afghanistan, special immigrant visas, which is a legal pathway to get here, which we know many Afghans have utilized to come into the country, have now been paused since the tragic shooting last week. Refugee admissions were suspended for Afghans from this administration on day one, and refugee admissions into the country right now are essentially at zero, with the exception of Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa. The State Department has also heightened their scrutiny and vetting of all visas and have revoked visas, as you know, for those who do not align with our country's national interests. The Secretary of State has the right to do that, and we've taken unprecedented action to do just that. We are also now pausing all asylum adjudications for additional vetting as well. And so additional actions I don't have to read out for you today, but I would just remark that the President has made tremendous progress on this front, and it's why it's so crucial that we not only secure the borders, which the President did in record time. We have zero illegal aliens entering into the country month after month, but we also are taking a look at those who are already in the interior of our country and removing them if they are here illegally, and also taking a look at these visas. Again, having a visa in the United States is not a right, it is a privilege. And the Secretary of State, if you are deemed contrary to our country's foreign national interests, has the right to revoke that privilege. Thank you. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Excuse me. Regarding Venezuela, the President said yesterday that Secretary Hegseth had denied that second strike, that reported second strike on an alleged drug vote on September 2nd, the Secretary said to the President that didn't happen. But to clarify, I just wanted you to clear this up. In his social media post, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Gabe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The President has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing. And under the previous administration, there was enough fentanyl trafficked into our country to kill every American man, woman, and child many times over. And so that's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last, and it's one of the many reasons the American public re-elected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes.
So to be clear, to clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
And a separate question, the President several days ago said it was his intention to pardon the former president of Honduras, who was a convicted drug trafficker. And yesterday on Air Force One, the President said that if someone sells drugs in that country, that doesn't mean you arrest the President and put him in jail for the rest of his life. How is that different than what the administration is accusing Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro of?
You're cherry-picking the President's statement a little bit yesterday, as he also said yesterday the people of Honduras have highlighted to him how the former President Hernandez was set up. This was a clear Biden over prosecution. He was the president of this country. He was in the opposition party. He was opposed to the values of the previous administration, and they charged him because he was president of Honduras. There were some other egregious facts that came out during this trial, and I would encourage you to report on them. His court-appointed lawyer was only given 3 weeks to prepare for trial. He shared that his conviction was lawfare by the leftist party, who, quote, struck a deal with the Biden-Harris administration. Hernandez has highlighted there was virtually no independent evidence presented, and many of his conviction was based on testimony from many admitted criminals who hoped that cooperating would reduce their own penalties. So the president heard the concerns from many people, as he does, and he's, of course, within his constitutional authority to sign clemency for whomever he deems worthy of that. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Following up on Gabe's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
And then on this pardon for the Honduran president, does it at all undercut the administration's messaging while you have these congressional Republicans defending the strikes on the narco-terrorists and then a pardon for a convicted drug trafficker? Does that make it more difficult for your members to defend your administration's policy?
I don't think so, Jackie. I think that President Trump has been quite clear in his defense of the United States homeland to stop these illegal narcotics from coming to our borders, whether that's by land or by sea. And he's also made it quite clear that he wants to correct the wrongs of the weaponized Justice Department under the previous administration. And Ouija, I'll call on you because I think we're wearing matching blazers today.
I was going to
great minds.
Yours. Thank you, Caroline. Sure. So just to be clear, to clarify on Jackie and Gabe, did Admiral Bradley order that second strike because there were still survivors after the initial strike?
Again, as I read for you, Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law. He directed the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat of narco-terrorists to the United States was completely eliminated.
So was the initial order from Secretary Hegseth, everyone be killed, and did that come from President Trump?
I saw that quoted in a Washington Post story. I would reject that the Secretary of War ever said that. However, the president has made it quite clear that if narco-terrorists, again, are trafficking illegal drugs towards the United States, he has the authority to kill them, and that's what this administration is doing.
And can I
Danny?
follow up on the MRI? Because President Trump yesterday said that he would release the results of his MRI. Is that happening right now?
It is happening right now. As part of, and this is a summary from the president's physician, and we will release it right now. I think my team has it teed up for all of you. I'll read it for you, and then you'll get it physically as well. As part of President Trump's comprehensive executive physical, advanced imaging was performed because men in his age group benefit from a thorough evaluation of cardiovascular and abdominal health. The purpose of this imaging is preventative, to identify any issues early, confirm overall health, and ensure the president maintains long-term vitality and function. President Trump's cardiovascular imaging was perfectly normal. No evidence of arterial narrowing impairing blood flow or abnormalities in the heart or major vessels. The heart chambers are normal in size, the vessel walls appear smooth and healthy, and there are no signs of inflammation or clotting. Overall, his cardiovascular system shows excellent health. His abdominal imaging is also perfectly normal. All major organs appear very healthy and well perfused. Everything evaluated is functioning within normal limits with no acute or chronic concerns. In summary, this level of detailed assessment is standard for an executive physical at President Trump's age and confirms that he remains in excellent overall health. Again, we will provide that to you. I think that's quite a bit of detail, and in the effort of transparency, the president promised it last night, and we have delivered today. So there you go. Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Just going back to Venezuela, can you confirm that President Trump is going to be hosting a meeting of his national security team in the Oval Office today on Venezuela? And what are they going to discuss? Are they hoping to reach a kind of final decision on that?
Out of the effort of transparency, I will confirm that the president will be meeting with his national security team on this subject and on many matters. He meets with his national security team quite often. He's the commander-in-chief. It's part of his responsibility to ensure that peace is ongoing throughout the world. I'm definitely not going to detail the specifics of a meeting between the president and his national security team that's taking place in the Oval Office, but I'm happy to confirm that meeting is taking place for you.
Can you tell us, is there still, what's the position on whether US troops on the ground is a possibility there? Is that, I know you've answered that before, but what's the current operative
In
status?
Venezuela? I think my previous answer stands. There's many options at the president's disposal that are on the table, and I'll let him speak on those. Ed.
Thanks,
Caroline, the U.S. announced a trade framework deal with the United Kingdom on pharmaceuticals, where they will pay 25% more, and the savings theoretically will go back to American consumers. What guarantees are in that savings will in fact go back to the American consumer and not be sucked up by the company?
I'm going to be honest with you, Ed. I'll get you the answer to that question after the briefing.
So the American Rescue Plan, funded a number of universal income.
Kush will get you that answer, right, Kush? My trade guy over here.
The American Rescue Plan funded a number of universal basic income programs. Now Cook County, Illinois is extending that program into 2026 with $7.5 million of taxpayer money. What does the White House think about that?
I'll also get you an answer on that after the briefing, Ed.
It's 0 for 2.
Go ahead. Sure.
And then in the interest of transparency, does the White House support releasing the Department of Defense's video of those September 2nd strikes on those military boats? And also, separate topic on presidential pardon power. Why did the president commute the sentence of David Gentile recently? He was a private equity executive. He served 12 days out of a 7-year sentence. Prosecutors said he defrauded $1.6 billion with thousands of victims, including veterans, farmers, teachers. Why was he pardoned?
To your first question, that's definitely not a decision for me to make. I would defer you to the Department of War. It's also probably a decision for the president himself to make. As for your second question with respect to that pardon, he issued a commutation for Mr. Gentile, who's the former CEO and co-founder of GBP Capital Holdings. Unlike similar companies, GBP paid regular annualized distributions to its investors. In 2015, GBP disclosed to investors the possibility of using investor capital to pay some of these distributions rather than funding them from current operations. Even though this was disclosed to investors, the Biden Department of Justice claimed it was a Ponzi scheme. This claim was profoundly undercut by the fact that GBP had explicitly told investors what would happen. At trial, the government was unable to tie any supposedly fraudulent representations to Mr. Gentile. In short, again, this is another example that has been brought to the president's attention of a weaponization of justice from the previous administration, and therefore he signed this commutation.
Statements, though, say that these people were defrauded.
I just read you a very detailed summary of why the commutation was made. Sure. In the middle with the red tie.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, Andrew, go ahead, and then you.
In wake of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor
Go ahead
Greene's early resignation, reports last week indicated that other House Republicans might consider doing the same. Does the president have any concerns in light of those reports about other House Republicans potentially leaving early, as well as the other announced retirements that we saw in the last couple of days?
Look, I think the president maintains very good relationships with the vast majority, maybe with the exception of one or two. I think many in this room know who I'm referring to. Very good relationships with members of Capitol Hill within the Republican Party. And the president clearly is the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party. I think it was a recent CNN poll that actually showed that more than 90% of Republicans continue to support President Trump as the leader. So he maintains very good relations, as does his entire team here at the White House. And of course, we have a very slim margin in the House, and the president wants that to continue. Andrew.
All right, so that's a White House briefing that's happening live. We're going to get back to that, but we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We want to get back now to the White House briefing that's happening live. Let's take you there to it.
About how Somali immigrants in Minnesota have been ripping off American taxpayers. In fact, 86 people have been charged in a rampant and widespread fraud scheme spanning multiple programs in Minnesota. Of those 86, 78 of those people are Somali, 91% of them charged. So far, 59 of those people have been convicted for their roles in fraud plots that have stolen $1 billion from taxpayers. In one scheme, and this is egregious, a nonprofit and its affiliates with these Somali migrants claimed to have fed tens of thousands of American children during the pandemic. They were reimbursed for those meals by taxpayers. However, federal prosecutors found that almost all of those meals were never even delivered to hungry children. In fact, those organizations' leaders spent the money on houses, luxury cars, and real estate in Turkey and Kenya. Another scheme involved hundreds of organizations who were reimbursed for services that were supposed to help people at risk of homelessness. Once again, those services were never provided. All of this has happened under Democrat leadership in a Democrat-run state where these refugees, these migrants are coming to the United States. They are abusing our system. They are draining our resources that should be going to law-abiding, taxpayer-funded, tax-paying Americans. And this president is not going to put up with it anymore. Rachel.
Thank you, Caroline. Just to follow back up on the Washington Post reporting, so much of the concern from Democrats and Republicans is focused on the survivors. Why won't the administration either confirm or deny or reveal whether or not there were survivors after that initial first strike? And what imminent threat would two survivors pose who were clinging presumably to the wreckage of that boat?
Again, as I said, I think you guys are sort of not listening fully to the statement I've provided. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was totally destroyed and the threat to the narco-terrorists, to the United States, was eliminated. And for any further questions about his thinking, I would defer you to the Department of War. I obviously wasn't in the room for these strikes.
Just to follow up, Caroline, just on the administration's policy when it comes to survivors, was there a change in policy after this strike on September 2nd? The Washington Post is reporting that these two survivors were killed after a second strike, but then in October, two people were rescued and returned to Colombia and Ecuador. So was there a decision that was made to handle survivors differently after these strikes?
Not to my knowledge, no. Steve.
The president confirmed that he spoke to the Venezuelan leader. Are you trying to negotiate his departure? Is there an asylum deal under work?
President, as you know, last night on Air Force One, he said, I don't want to comment on that, but I did speak to him in the effort of transparency. So there you go. You got your confirmation. I'll let him speak further if he wishes to on the details of that conversation that took place.
Steve Witkoff is headed to Moscow. How close are you to some sort of Ukraine agreement?
I think the administration feels very optimistic. Obviously, you've seen, Steve, that the president's entire team, including Special Envoy Witkoff and Secretary Rubio and the vice president and the president himself, Secretary Hegseth as well, have been working so hard on this effort, and they all really want to see this war come to an end. And so just yesterday, Sunday, I believe that was yesterday, they had very good talks with the Ukrainians in Florida, and now, of course, Special Envoy Witkoff is on his way to Russia. This is sort of the shuttle diplomacy that you've seen from this administration play out, where we speak equally with both sides. We've put points on paper. Those points have been very much refined, but as for the details, I will let the negotiators negotiate, but we do feel quite good, and we're hopeful that this war can finally come to an end. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. I've got a question about Ukraine and then a clarification about the immigration changes that are happening. On Ukraine, President Trump very briefly yesterday said that corruption issues there were not helpful to the peace process following the resignation on Friday of President Zelensky's top aide, Andrei Yermak. We were told from your podium in the prior administration that, quote, there is no indication that there's been any kind of widespread corruption involving U.S. resources in Ukraine. What is the Trump administration's view of corruption issues in the wake of Yermak's resignation, and how is that impacting peace talks?
Well, look, I think the president has made it quite clear, as he said last night, corruption is never helpful. And he does not want to see American tax dollars taken advantage of, which is why he has stopped the endless checks that were being written by the previous administration to fund this war. The United States is selling weapons to NATO that are being sent to Ukraine, that's a very different thing than the American people writing blank checks to a war effort very far away. It does not degrade the administration's determination to see this war come to an end, but I think it exemplifies the president's desire to always put the American people and the American taxpayer first.
On immigration, you mentioned, or you emphasized that there would be a review of the Afghans who were resettled here under the previous administration.
Yes.
There's a lot of changes happening right now to asylum and to green card holders. What should the 2 million people with pending asylum claims, or the roughly million people from the 18 other countries of concern, know about what's going on in the review? What's the status of all these other people?
They're essentially paused for review, and the Department of Homeland Security is taking this very seriously, because we are not going to allow soldiers like we saw in American streets last week to be gunned down at the hands of these foreign nationals who had the privilege of coming to the United States of America. And unfortunately, this is not the only example of a dangerous Afghan who was let in by Joe Biden, who went on to harm the American people. There was an Afghan national who was let into the country under the Biden administration through Operation Allies Welcome, who shot and wounded 2 Fairfax, Virginia police officers during a routine traffic stop. He was killed by return fire after declaring, quote, "I should have served with the explicitive Taliban." 2 Afghan nationals were given legal status by the Biden administration as well, who were arrested and prosecuted for plotting a terrorist attack in Oklahoma just before Election Day in 2024. We all remember that. They possessed hundreds of rounds of ammunition and had pledged their allegiance to ISIS. There was also an Afghan national who was on the terror watch list ended by Border Patrol in 2024, but then he was released into our country by the Biden administration. Again, let's just highlight the absurdity of that. Border Patrol apprehended a terrorist, and then the Biden administration, because of their lax policies, still allowed him to come into the United States of America. I think everyone in this room, whether you want to admit it or not, does not.
All right, so that is Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt there at the White House briefing, answering questions from reporters, updating us on the Trump administration. We'll get back to that. That is still going, but we want to step aside from that and come back here locally. So we are continuing to follow a pretty unusual crash incident. So here's what we have right now on our website. You can read it right now on our digital platform. So 2 people were seriously hurt after a crash late Friday night, shutting down I-77 South in southern Mecklenburg County. Officials said it unfolded around 10:45 p.m. near the exit to Nations Ford Road when an overhead interstate sign collapsed onto a car, trapping the driver beneath the wreckage. We brought this actually to you as breaking news on Friday night during our 11 o'clock newscast. But we want to get out to Walker Lawson, who joins us right now. Walker, you're following up on this story. What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, Nick, honestly, some answers have been a little hard to come by. Today we have reached out to NCDOT just to try to get an interview to get a better understanding of what the inspection process is like. Because when they responded to us, they reminded on Friday night that this incident occurred because the vehicle hit the sign. They attribute that they inspect these signs twice a year, and that if it wasn't safe, obviously they wouldn't be left up. So we did reach out to NCDOT to try to get a better understanding of what that process looks like. They deferred us to the statement that they provided us over the weekend or back on Friday night. So limited information from them. The accident has to go through Highway Patrol. We've also not heard from Highway Patrol today, but I've been able to speak to residents that are driving out here that live, work, commute right near where that sign fell. And many of them kind of having a lot of concerns about the fact that a vehicle hit a pole and that a sign of this magnitude was able to fall from one car hitting it. Of course, we really don't know the details of how fast this vehicle was going or kind of what that impact looked like, as we're still waiting for a copy of that incident report. But people here concerned about that, but also about just safety on the roadways in general. We've seen, over the weekend, we saw an accident involving 9 people on I-485. This comes on the heels of that deadly accident we had back in July on I-485. We also had another deadly accident right near I-85 last Wednesday. So really just a lot of concerns from drivers.
All right, Walker. Again, yeah, like you mentioned, information hard to come by in this situation. A very unusual incident, to say the least. You can catch Walker at 4:30 and 5:30. Walker, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you.
All right. So let's show you images, and I just getting word from Jeb. This is actually from Charlotte Fire Department. This is the sign that fell that Walker was describing. Yeah, again, a lot of questions as you know, Walker, and we try to sort out what exactly happened here. But again, you saw images of that sign there from Friday night. Again, we brought you that as breaking news during the 11 o'clock newscast on Friday night. All right, so let's get back to Washington, D.C., where the White House briefing is still happening, still underway. Let's take a listen in to what's being said.
To constantly have to defend against these fake news and these attacks. And I will point out one fake news story over the weekend before I let you all go from the New York Times that took about 1/3 of the president's daily calendar and his daily schedule and said that he's doing less than he did in his first term, or he might not be fit for the job. That is unequivocally false, and it's deeply unfortunate that this story was written by the same outlet and the same reporter who wrote this. Biden is doing 100% fine after tripping while boarding Air Force One. Oh, same outlet, same reporter who wrote that President Trump is not fit for the job. Are you kidding me? You all see him almost every single day. He is the most accessible president in history. He is taking meetings around the clock. Another one. Biden declared, quote, healthy and vigorous after his first presidential physical. I don't see headlines like that too often about this president. Again, same reporter, same outlet who wrote falsely over the weekend that President Trump is not fit for the job. I can assure you he absolutely is. You all see that with your own eyes on a daily basis, and the president's physician has now given you all 3 detailed reports on the state of the president's health. So with that, I will leave you all, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.
All right, so that press conference and that White House briefing that happens weekly, just wrapping up there. Caroline Leavitt walking off from the podium just moments ago. All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Happening right now, we want to take you there now. The murder trial of Brian Walsh, and it's underway with testimony expected to begin today. I believe it's opening statements happened earlier. So Walsh is accused of killing his wife and dismembering her body on New Year's Day back in 2023. And the days and weeks that followed, police launched a massive search across eastern Massachusetts in hopes of recovering any sign of the mother of three. Again, I'm reading this from NBC Boston, our NBC affiliate there in Boston, covering this high-profile trial. Let's take a listen into what's happening right now in court.
And she got the JetBlue because she's like, hey, I want these 80,000 points. So that was the last sort of credit card conversation we had 6 weeks ago or something, 4 weeks ago.
Okay. When's the last time you checked the activity on these card accounts?
I had to check today because the Freedom we use for a company I work with, Fresh Goals, which is a sports card or memorabilia company. So they buy from their whatever the vendor, we put it on the credit card, and then they pay us back. So that's one of the. So I'm always checking that card.
Okay. Any suspicious activity on that?
No.
Any transactions you don't recognize?
There's nothing I don't recognize. No.
Okay. As far as travel, has Anna done any like domestic travel in the United States in the past year or two, like anywhere?
It's been DCA to Boston, and then I forget if she went to Chicago or New York. She went to Chicago to meet some of the head brass at Titian Spire. Then she went to Belgrade, and that was it. No, she was complaining about travel since my problem, so we were looking to do something at some point.
So Chicago for work?
Yeah.
What was the destination that she really wanted to go to?
Oh, Japan. She kept saying, "Why don't we take her to Japan?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." It was
on my list.
I had done a lot of business there years ago. I said, "It's good." She loves the Japanese food, so.
Okay. Going back to her phone, you guys have a family plan, or you had a family plan?
Okay, so we have a family plan. When she got the job at Titian Spire, she's like trying to decide what to do. She's like, well, she wanted to take her phone over, so she ported it over, and then she left the family plan that we had.
So you have no access to like her
I know
records, right?
No, but Titian Spire wants, right? So,
yeah, well, that's.
I thought you had the phone.
We've been talking with them, but they're a big company, so getting information from their
Oh,
company.
really?
So, yeah.
Oh, I thought they were just handed right over.
They always have too many corporate attorneys.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah. If she was on the family, I mean, I'm so upset. If she was on the family plan, I could just hand it right over to you guys right now. Yeah, all the phones, my mother, my uncle, her brother, me, and on it. So.
Okay.
Anna was married in Japan?
She was, yes.
What's the relationship like with her?
They don't talk anymore.
How long ago was that marriage?
I guess she got. She must have gotten divorced in 2012, and it was only like the last 3 years or so.
So they don't have, to your knowledge, or?
I keep asking, like Marjorie, like he won't talk to me. They were talking a little bit, but once we started having kids, that was it.
What do you mean? I'm sorry, you said you keep asking what?
I said, if you want to talk to Mark, it's been a long time. We had a good relationship. I mean, it wasn't a bad person. Just didn't bring everything out. So, but she said that every time she's reached out to him, he hasn't gotten back in touch with her. But he lives in D.C. or something. That's where they met.
What's his name?
Mark Knipp.
Mark Knipp?
Yeah, it's spelled Knipp, K-N-I-P-P. One of the chase cards is under that married name.
Okay.
We don't use that one. That's the first one she got with him. But that she never changed her name from. So it's on the Knipp on the card.
But it's still an active credit card?
It's an active card, but we ever used it, and there was $229 of credit on it. No one's used it for the last 6 or 7 months. So.
Does she normally carry a large amount of cash with her?
So we've discussed this occasionally, but I mean, there's been times when she only had $50 with her. Like she had $10,000 when she came back from Belgrade. She brought it for a lawyer who's Serbian, who lives in We went there. Oh, it was in, I'm sorry, it's by the water, near Boston, Winthrop. They live in Winthrop, so we took it over. So that would be a lot of money for her, but she has had it, $2,000 to $5,000 at times. But
For her personal use? Or?
no, she just cared if we had cash from Fresh Bowls, or if there was some money I could give to put it. But then she would forget, so then there were times when she'd be carrying a lot of cash. But I don't know if she had a lot of cash on her this time, though. I don't go through the moment, so. But there are times where I said to me money and she's only at $50. But she always dresses like she had it all.
There was no financial trouble, nothing like that.
No, actually, we're doing better than ever right now. We're facing restitution charges, but with the new job and where the real estate has worked out, we're really in good shape.
Did you guys have any arguments or anything on New Year's Eve?
No.
New Year's Day before she left?
No, I wasn't enough time on New Year's Day to have an argument, but New Year's Eve, everything was fine. We were excited, what she wrote. Peter saw what she wrote for it was very positive, and Jen was here, and there was it was kind of 2022 was a hard year, but 2023 is going to be the best ever. And she was and it's just not, they are in all.
You guys have you had made arguments in the past, anything like that?
So the biggest, and yes, I mean, beyond integrity, so we haven't arguments, but we're very aligned with almost everything that we do. We really have a lot of the same tastes, and ultimately we defer to each other with what the other person's good at. But the biggest argument we had in 2022 was when she had to go to Belgrade for 2 weeks. And I was at 2 weeks of vacation. I was like, I don't know if I could use you here, boys, for 2 weeks, so I have to go to Belgrade. So, that was our biggest argument. And I couldn't get in touch with her. My mother reminded me, I couldn't get in touch with her for the first few days in Belgrade because the phone didn't have international. So I was upset about that. So that was the only other time this year that I didn't have contact with her daily.
So you normally have daily contact with her?
Yeah, more than once.
What's the longest you've gone with no contact?
The 3 days in Belgrade, and there was the last week of December, there's some points in December where there was 24-hour gaps, which was really not normal. And then when she was supposed to be here and she wasn't, and I was like, I'm going to file a missing person before you're missing, where are you? But 24 hours, 36 hours would be a lot of time. But I was making a big deal out of it over the last couple of months, and everyone told me to relax about it, and then I did. So I feel pretty good.
When you guys did communicate, what was the conversation like? Just any time, during the last couple months when she's been traveling.
Oh yeah.
To work.
It's been she always says, "Hey, hello," and this is what I'm doing today. I said, "Oh, the boys are up." Sometimes I would send photos of the kids. She would send me photos of what she's doing. We'd have a recap. At night I go, "Oh, I'm tired. The kids are driving crazy." She's like, "Oh, there's no food because I do all the cooking normally." So I said, "I'm going to Cabo to get something to eat." And it's just a recap of it. Normal as if we were together. Yeah, as if we were together without being in person. But there were some nights I remember December 23rd, 4th, 2nd, 1st, where we didn't have those calls because I think I'd been sick and she was tired, so we went to bed. The kids sometimes I go to bed had you guys not come, I was going to go to bed. I didn't sleep well last night, so I was going to try to get some sleep tonight. So it's not uncommon for us to go to bed very early.
Is there any mental health issues at all with Anna? Does she have any indicators to you that something is amiss there, or any diagnosis?
No, not for me. My mother might have a different opinion, certainly, but yeah, she's like that. Well, I guess probably pushing. That's the word, like pushing, not a mental problem. Yeah, sorry. No, I mean, probably. I really couldn't think of anything. I mean, she'd never, thought about psychiatry or even discussed it until recently.
Has she ever been violent or anything like that?
No.
Have you guys ever had a physical confrontation?
No. None of that stuff.
It's for us coming in here. It's tough because we obviously want to find out as quickly as possible. We don't know her, and there's many common reasons why people don't listen. I'm trying to get the answers to those questions.
Well, please feel free to ask any questions that you have. Don't worry about moving with that. I understand that you're here to find out and you're working for her.
Well, all right. I mean, one of the reasons someone goes missing is because they were abused or injured or assaulted. Did you do anything to hurt your wife?
No, sir. I wouldn't hurt my wife. I mean, I love my wife. All we want is to have her back. This family doesn't work without her. I mean, we can't function without her.
You guys have never had a physical fight, nothing like that before?
No, not at all.
I mean, so there's no mental health, there's no financial problems, there's no extramarital affairs, there's no physical abuse. The only stress I'm hearing right now is the work.
Being separated.
Separation, depression from the combination of those two.
Yeah. Also, her mother being ill, she had a major neurological event last year, and that's why she had to go to Belgrade. So there's a big pressure from that. My mother has had some health problems. So, and then the kids, it all adds up. I mean, I want you to know, up until looking at it now, it's nothing compared to this. It seemed like a lot a week ago. Being apart, the mother's not doing well, the legal problems, the kids growing and you're worried about all of those things seem like a lot. Now
to you or to her?
I think we discussed them both. Like I was like overwhelmed by the 3 children, and she was missing. It was a really bad situation. We discussed splitting them up. Like Tom would go with her, and they want to split the kids up. So why could they all the kids? And I was like, how is that going to be for your job there? I mean, we did not have a good solution. I mean, it up until, it felt untenable until right now. I go back to that moment, it would be very easy for me to deal with that because I thought my partner would be here right now to work it out.
Where would you go to look for it? If you could go anywhere right now, where do you go to look for it? Do you have a favorite place? Do you have,
We've Adele and everyone, we're exhausted. We go all the hotels and the hospitals. Got a favorite restaurant in DC, which is near the house. There were investigators waiting there all day, people or something like that, to say maybe we should go there. But I don't know. Anna was not someone who would just want to go out and she was adventurous, but not that adventurous. When she had a layover in Frankfurt, I think, and I told her to, her flight was delayed, so I said, go into town. I don't know. She's not someone who would want to do it by herself. That would be, she would always want to do it with me or at least someone else. I like to think it would only be with me, but obviously, it wouldn't be something, she would just go off on her own, like my father was traveling by himself and seeing TV and things like that. So that was not my experience in Lana.
And this tough week last week, you don't think it rises to the level of wanting to hurt herself or anything like that?
I just can't. I personally can't imagine that. But she did, I mean, I remember, I talked to Alyssa about it today, where she was a friend of Carrie Westbrook, and I guess she was going to go see her. They've been good. They came up at the end of Washington together. I don't know what happened. She was trying to get there, but SIM card broke, and she was exhausted, not feeling well. I saw her. She was on FaceTime with Viber because her SIM card was broken. And I was like, I guess maybe I was complaining about some stuff, and she's like, hey, it was break, I'm not doing very well. It's the first time she's ever said that. I say that all the time, I'm not doing well, but it was the first time she ever said that to me. So that was new, and Jen said that she seemed different, but I mean, the extent that you're talking about, to this extent, is, this is just unbelievable.
Was that before or after Christmas?
It was before Christmas. No, SIM card went down after Christmas because she got in touch with me very quickly, so it wouldn't leak out.
Well, I know you said you're willing to, do whatever you can to help the investigation. We thank you for that. And, part of that, I think, is trying to understand Anna. And I think if you would allow us to look through your phone and consent to us downloading your phone and really seeing some of the communications between you and her and like her tone and you said in the interview that she said that she may have used your phone occasionally to receive stuff.
Yeah.
I think it'll help us really create a permanent timeline of the events of the 1st and the 31st and the 1st and maybe get a better.
All right, so right now you're taking a live look inside a courtroom there in the Boston, Massachusetts area. Brian Walsh on trial, accused of killing and dismembering his wife back on New Year's Day in 2023. Again, that trial is underway right now, but we are going to take a step aside. We're going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be back in just 2 minutes. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sutherland. Before we get the weather, we were having a discussion before we got back on. I had to bring this up because this is something that we're all are talking about. Stranger Things. Jeb just informed me some backstory. I am a Stranger Things fan. I think a lot of folks are. I remember I was working in Atlanta when they were filming, I believe, season 2 and season 3, and so that was pretty cool. In the newsroom, we were like, "Oh man, we could." It was kind of like Where's Waldo, like trying to find where they were filming different parts of the season. So anyway, I became a fan then. I went back and watched season 1, and now I've been watching since. And so I watched episode 1 of season 5 of Stranger Things.
What did you think?
I It was pretty on par. I thought it was pretty. It was pretty good opening episode. Like episode
I
one.
think that's a good way to put that. That's fair.
Jeb is already done with the season.
I watched it all in one fell swoop. So, and the reason why is because, I'm gonna let Netflix know. I use my parents' account. We all try to. So like random windows when it will let me use it, like not in their area code.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, it's letting me use it this weekend, so let's rock and roll. So I watched the whole thing. I watched all. It's like probably close to 5 hours, maybe 5.5 hours.
Okay, I mean. It's hard to say, don't give any spoilers when the season's.
I honestly can't. I don't know what I would even spoil. Like it just felt like it was a lot of empty space.
Okay.
Like,
and the season is up for any. I mean, it's not like there is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not gonna obviously say anything that happened, but it didn't. I love season 1. I think season 1 is lightning in a bottle. I think it's one of the best seasons of television, maybe ever. Certainly the last 25 years.
Yeah.
I think they nailed it.
Okay.
When it was created, the Duffer Brothers who did it, who I think are geniuses, they wanted
Bull
it to be
City.
They wanted it to be an anthology show.
Yeah.
So they wanted each season to be completely different from the season before it. So it would have been self-contained to just that season. The whole story would have been just that season.
Yeah.
And obviously with the success of the first season, it was gangbusters.
Right.
Netflix's best shows ever. It was excellent. Then they started to grow on it. But I think if you feel like they've kind of stretched it a little further than it was maybe supposed to go, that's why.
Okay, I feel
and so
that.
we liked all of it.
But it's just like it's such a good show that
totally
it's
Music's
better.
great.
Yeah. Even if you feel like they're stretching the show, it's better than most shows.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I like it a lot. I think it was season 3 that fell flat for me.
I actually like season 3. You're talking about the mall.
The mall, yeah.
yeah.
Eventually, it wrapped up with the first 3/4.
It started slow.
I'm like, why are we in a mall? Like, why is this mall so important? And then obviously, it starts to make more sense.
Right.
I'm like, why are we in this mall?
And the theme of the time when malls were
exactly.
becoming.
And that's the thing is I also like lacking that context. Maybe we'll talk with my friend. But then I feel like season 4 I thought was excellent.
Yeah.
Introducing Vecna, having a centralized villain.
That
I thought was
really
very
good.
helpful because it helped push the plot in a direction.
Yeah.
And season 5 is the same. Like season 5 really picks up with where it's at. And I understand the complaints of everybody being like, oh, it's been so many years since.
Life happens.
Right, exactly. It's like, whatever. It's like, this is 2025. The way we make shows and everything, it's changed.
Yeah.
And it is a high quality. And it's like hour-long episodes. I mean, I kept watching. It was super interesting. But excited to see where it goes from here and excited for it to conclude and that it gets the conclusion that it deserves. That's
I was about to say, see where it goes. I thought you teasing to a season 6 that we didn't know about.
No. Well, they recent increments.
Okay.
First half.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. That
and
is
they leave
true.
you on a
That is
cliffhanger.
true.
And I don't feel like that's a crazy
I keep
thing to
forgetting
say.
about that. I keep forgetting about
so I think
that.
it's Christmas. The other half comes out.
Yep. The other half comes out. Yeah.
So no, I liked it. I'd give it like a 6 or a 7.
That's not bad.
Out of 10.
Oh man, this is what we were talking about. I was like,
yeah, this is a sidebar, but you know what? There's nothing else going on. Like there's nothing new. Hopefully, people are enjoying the holiday season, streaming some good shows. And Nick, I think it's going to be good streaming weather coming up here.
Oh man, it's gonna be cold. Not really great running weather because we
talked about that last week.
Yeah. Training for half marathons.
Yep.
I'm training for my second. Training for your first. But you're a runner, so like.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get there. I'm hoping to get there.
Yeah.
One step at a time. I'm not Nick Servant Miles.
Man, this is a cross country star right here, man. Don't. But anyway, not great running weather, but great Netflix weather or whatever you're streaming.
Good opportunities to watch your shows. Watch Live Impact News tomorrow.
WCMC Plus weather. There you go.
It's pretty good for that.
There you go. Let's check in with our forecast.
Good Monday afternoon. We are a weather impact alert starting tonight through Tuesday morning. The potential for freezing rain on the onset up towards the high country. Just a plain old cold rain everywhere else. Now this could create some ice accumulations up in the mountains between about 1/10 to up to 1/4, which is enough to cause some hazardous travel, some slippery road conditions. Just make sure you're prepared for that commute going into tomorrow morning. You'll want some extra time and you'll certainly want that warmer rain gear as as well. So today, not going to be impacted by any rainfall. It's late tonight, especially closer to around midnight here in Charlotte. We'll start to see that mountain wintry mix in the form of freezing rain, just a plain old rain here in the metro, but everything will transition into rain by Tuesday morning. Pockets of moderate to heavy rain will be embedded with the system by Tuesday at noon. All of this will have pulled out of here. Winter weather advisories are in place starting this evening at around 7 o'clock. Does go through noon on Tuesday. Like I mentioned, minor ice accumulations, especially on the highest elevations, will be possible. So just keep an eye out for any slick roads, but also the sidewalks as well. Those will get you. High temperatures for this afternoon will feel a little bit more like January, close to 50 degrees across the greater Charlotte area and lower 40s for the mountain communities. Headed off to McAdenville, the lights. Well, we do have the tree lighting tonight that begins at 5:30. If you're headed there, don't have to worry about that umbrella or rain gear. Just want to bring the jackets. Temperatures will be in the 40s, but it's really right around midnight. Those rain chances will start to ramp up. In the mountains, the same situation, but they'll start off a little bit earlier, especially around 9-10 o'clock. That's when we'll start to see that freezing rain event start as temperatures do warm above that freezing mark. As we go later in on the morning, that's when they'll transition to just a cold rain. Tracking this out for you on this surface map, that cold front that pushed through yesterday evening, it's all down to the south and east of us. This is going to help aid in bringing all of this rain and winter weather across the southeast, but eventually pulling off by Tuesday at noon. Timing this out for you, here comes 9-10 o'clock. Temperatures start to drop below that freezing mark over towards the mountains. That's the pink in the freezing rain, and the green just a cold rain everywhere else. And this transitions pretty quickly, widespread pockets of moderate to heavy rain embedded with this system. This is a look at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. Rush hour commute would have begun, and we'll likely see some delays just out on the roadways. So that's why we say leave a little bit of extra time as you head out the door. Noon, this is all pushed off to the east. We'll be drying off for the rest of today, the rest of the day, likely still keeping the cloud cover going into the second half of Tuesday. The few flurries up towards the mountains as well. Rain totals have trended down, especially since yesterday. It was looking like we could pick up some max rain totals close to around 2 inches. Now max close to around 1.5 inches. A few lucky of us will start to get a little bit over 1 inch as well. Like I mentioned, we do have those winter weather advisories that are up in place. That goes through noon tomorrow. Temperatures will be staying in the 40s as we go through the rest of Tuesday and Wednesday, warming up into the 50s on Thursday. But another round of rain comes through Friday and into this next upcoming weekend in this Jerry Hunt Superstitter 7-day. So we will dry off for Wednesday and Thursday, but Friday it's looking like we could see the potential for not only some cold rain, but maybe some wintry mix to mix in with this as well. Something that we'll be watching is we'll extend those rain chances to both here Saturday and Sunday. Notice our average high for this time of year, 58. We'll do all below that in this next week.
All right, that is your forecast. We're going to take a step aside. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to take you now to the Boston, Massachusetts area where the murder trial of Brian Walsh continues, is underway, and testimony is happening today as well. Now, if you remember, Walsh is accused of killing his wife and dismembering her body on New Year's Day back in 2023. In the days and weeks that followed, police launched a massive search across eastern Massachusetts in hopes of recovering any sign of the mother of three. Let's take a listen to that.
Last time, recent conversations they can remember with her, that's pretty much it.
That's fine.
And it's really kind of a nice, casual, comfortable setting for children. It's specifically designed for that. We actually use it for like children who are victims and stuff like that. It's really easy going, and you'll see, and you'll have to sit down before anyone talks to anyone, you can see for yourself the situations. But if you can get, I think we can get the kids in tomorrow.
What time?
I don't know what time yet,
Okay.
but we can call you in the morning.
Yeah, I gotta just, we're normally taking to school, so, I'll certainly be willing to organize that, and I'll talk to Tracy about the phone, maybe we could do all of it tomorrow.
That's actually, that one's a good idea. That would be convenient. We could just.
Well, I mean, we don't have extra time, I'm emergency, so.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, what time are you, you're up, about 7 in the morning, you said?
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's what time my house gets up, so.
Yeah, no, right, how old are your children?
1.5 and 4.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, the 4-year-old is starting to give you positive feedback, right?
Oh yeah, he's fresh. Let me see if I can get the time here.
Yeah, it's usually a really nice woman does the questions, you know, it's just a conversation.
It's fun. If anything that you feel is going to help, I'm willing to do it. That's what you need to know. I mean,
We're trying every avenue here. You know what
I
mean?
appreciate that. Yeah.
Usually, we just need one little bit and then we can run through it.
All right. Great.
So typically, something will jump out. You know?
Okay. I love that. Tom's gonna have the time of his life.
He doesn't want to have a problem talking.
Yeah.
I can tell.
I guess there's no one scheduled to be in there tomorrow as far as like children being interviewed, so it's probably wide open.
Okay.
Just gotta see what time the counselor is available to be there. I'm guessing they're probably pretty flexible, but like you said, rather get it done. Time is of the essence. We
Well,
want
I mean,
everything things done.
waiting till Monday makes no sense at this point. We have no time.
So we can talk in the morning and confirm. I'll try to get you like a tentative time. Well, we can just plan on it. Like, I mean, we can tentatively would like 10 o'clock work.
So I have to leave here at 9 or something, right?
You'd have plenty of time if you looked at that.
Okay.
Plenty of time.
Oh, hi, William. Oh, yeah. What's your name?
Hey, buddy.
That's hello? Yeah. Your iPad? Yeah, I'm going to help you find it, okay? Okay. That may be a terrible mistake of giving them iPads at a young age, and now that's ruined everyone's life. Remember when they didn't have electronics in bed when we were younger?
Well, my boss in Canada is going to give me a time shortly, so before we leave, before they wrap up, and hopefully we can set something up.
Any other?
Trying to think, anything else you want to have before we terminate that recording?
I'm trying to think. Is there any part of the house that we didn't consider looking at, or did she leave anything behind? Like any?
No, but if you guys want to take another look, I mean, certainly open to that. Okay. If that's supportive, I know you got to look everywhere.
Right.
It's your job. I'm not. It's neutral, so don't worry.
We got a new set of eyes, so I wanted to just check the box
Yeah,
every time.
I love that. Yeah.
Is there an attic
Yes, there is.
Okay, so we didn't hit the attic
No,
last night,
right.
so we definitely want to do that.
Yeah, okay. It's not one that you can like walk around. And, we tried that, and I broke the ceiling. I haven't fixed it yet.
10 o'clock, anytime Kristen is the name of the council, that'll be there tomorrow, and I guess any time works. So 10 o'clock sounds okay to you? 10:30 or?
How long is the session going to be? Because that's an important distinction.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they can go a long time, but
like an hour.
Those are the long ones are when we're actually have like a specific incident or a crime to actually dive into. In this instance, it's going to be like more of just like a conversation. And, you know, how's mom? You know, their sense of how mom is and stuff like that, I guess.
All right, happening right now. This is a live look inside a courtroom in Massachusetts, in the Boston area. Brian Walsh on trial, accused of killing and dismembering his wife. So that trial is happening. Testimony is happening today. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to take you back now to the murder trial of Brian Walsh. Walsh is accused of killing and dismembering his wife back on New Year's Day, 2023. Let's take a listen in to what's being said right now.
More thoroughly.
And did anyone give you permission?
Yes.
Who?
The defendant.
And what did you find in the Volvo?
In the Volvo was a receipt and a cell phone.
And did you ask the defendant about the cell phone?
Yes.
And what did he say about the cell phone?
It was the eldest son's cell phone.
And the receipt, where was the receipt from?
Lowe's.
Was there a date on it?
January 4th.
And do you know which Lowe's?
Weymouth Lowe's.
Now, on January 5th, besides this interview that's recorded, did you have any other conversations with Mr. Walsh?
Yes, we spoke on the phone a few times earlier that day.
Well, let me ask you, when was the first time you spoke to him that day?
Just before 9 a.m. on that Thursday.
And do you remember the substance of that conversation?
Just let him know that we were working on the investigation and we would be in touch.
And when was the next time you spoke to him?
About 3:45 p.m.
And what did you talk about in that conversation?
I had called him and left a message. He had called right back, and he asked about media and a PR person, and I had asked about if Anna carried large sums of cash on her, and he said sometimes yes, sometimes no.
What did he ask about a PR person?
He asked if he should get a PR person or talk to the media.
What did you say?
I said that he's free to talk to the media, although I don't recommend it.
Now, how long were you at the Walsh residence that night with the state police?
About 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.
And what did you do after you left the Walsh residence?
We all went back to the Cohasset Police Station.
What did you do at the Cohasset Police Station?
We began digging into the financial institutions, but given the hour, they were closed and it was tough to get a hold of any record keepers.
So, I take it now we're getting into January 6th.
Yes.
What did you do on January 6th as far as this investigation?
A large-scale search ensued. We brought in command posts and we established a staging area.
Who brought in command posts?
The Metrolec command post was present and the Mass State Police command post.
Where were they set up?
Behind Stop and Shop at 400 Chief Justice Cushing Highway.
And how was the large-scale search done of the area?
There were canines, there was the Metro search and rescue team, and the State Police CERT team conducting an area search of that wooded area.
Now, was anything recovered in that search?
No.
Sir, what was done to try and find surveillance video in that area?
Neighborhood canvasses were conducted.
And how'd you do that?
We requested assistance from neighboring agencies, their detectives, to come in. We'd pair a detective with a trooper, and they go around checking residents and businesses for any sort of security footage.
What was done as far as press conferences on the 6th?
My Chief Quigley, gave a press conference on that Friday.
Now, did you have the opportunity to speak to any people as far as witnesses on the 6th?
Yes.
Who did you speak to?
Jem Mutlu.
And where did that conversation take place?
The Cohasset Police Station.
And who was with you when that conversation took place?
Trooper DeChico.
And that day on the 6th, what was done as far as obtaining any digital devices from the defendant?
We collected on consent some digital devices.
And who went there to get those, if you know?
Lieutenant Fanning.
From what department?
Mass State Police.
And now, sir, when is it the next time you had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Walsh after the interview on the 5th?
I spoke to him on the phone Friday.
The 6th?
Yes.
And after that conversation, did you ever speak to him again?
Saturday.
Saturday. And where did that conversation take place?
At the same dining room table in his home.
And who was present for that conversation?
Myself, Trooper DeChico, Trooper Proctor, Attorney Minor, and the defendant.
And about what time did that conversation begin on the 6th?
About 2 p.m.
Was anything returned to him on the 6th?
The digital devices that we had on consent.
And were you present for that?
Yes.
Now, have you had the opportunity to review the statement from January 7th?
Yes.
And does it fairly and accurately reflect the defendant's statements?
It does.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth would seek to have marked as Exhibit 55 the next drive that has the interview from January 7th.
Any new objections?
Same objection.
All right, they're acknowledged. The audio from 1/7/23 is now marked and in evidence as Exhibit 55. Thank you.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, may I begin playing Exhibit 55?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Gilman?
The reporter is on. It is 13:52 on 2023. My name is Harrison Schmidt. I'm a detective with Cohasset Police. Our president is
Dave DiCicco. I'm a DICICCO trooper with the Northwest PA.
Philip Proctor, PRO, CTOR, Detective with Norfolk County DA's office.
Tracy Minor, attorney for Brian Walsh.
And I'm Brian Walsh.
Perfect. Thank you.
And we've agreed that I get a copy of the report.
Absolutely. Not a problem.
We were just talking about social media emails and kind of passwords that Anna may use. And so staying on that topic, let's just try to go through all methods of communication that email Anna uses. Know she has a cell phone. Within that cell phone, applications that she uses to communicate, I know are Viber. And does that generate a separate phone number, or is that just within networks of texting like WhatsApp? Right?
Yeah, it's, so she's used WhatsApp as well, but Viber is how she gets in touch with her sister mostly. But she used it a lot when she was in Belgrade.
Did she have any applications on her phone that generate a secondary telephone number or anything like that you know of?
No.
Did she make any calls to
Instagram, she might use Instagram. I don't know much about that. And the iMessenger stuff has been people calling her on that. It's been coming on my phone over the last week, so.
And password for Instagram.
And those are the passwords that we use for stuff, the banking. So I don't know if she uses it for that or not.
And Bayograd is capital B, local is B-O-G-R-A-E-1, or $sign at me.
Right. She usually uses that for accounts that we were, like, that she wanted to get me on. So, like, the credit cards. So, maybe the bank accounts, I don't really ever look at the bank accounts, but Netflix and things like that.
Back to any other methods of communication well, Facebook, for example, do you have access to
I don't think I have access to that. Whatever she put in my phone is what I had. But Facebook, Instagram were the ones I knew. Email, text, and phone calls. I mean, Venmo. I don't know if that's it.
That is definitely
yeah. Right. So Venmo would be something.
With regard to the financials, we had talked about, we gave us, I think it was 5 banking institutions that you guys use. If I remember correctly, it was a Fidelity, Chase, Apple Credit Union, Marblehead,
Liberty Bay. Yeah, Grand Union Marblehead. Liberty Bay. Liberty Bay is a credit union or something. And they have there's a they have one of their locations right here in Hingham. Or is that the credit unions in Virginia?
Is it Liberty Bay or Liberty Bank?
Liberty Bay, yeah.
And didn't she recently open an account in DC?
I think she's using her Apple Credit Union.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Capital One?
No, I had a credit card from Capital One.
You wouldn't have access to
No, definitely. No, not for that one. No.
All right, let's. Anything else on
The money that was moved from the sale of the house to the escrow or 1031 exchange.
Yeah.
I think what else? I mean,
and where is that account in escrow? All right, circling back to that.
Yeah.
But I think you said what was that? About $250,000?
Yeah, so 200,000 or more.
And is that those are the proceeds from the sale of the street?
Yes, December 29th.
December 29th is when the sale I believe.
That's when the money hit, yeah.
And What is the property that the exchange is slated to go into?
Well, there wasn't anything chosen yet. There was possibilities in Baltimore, but there was also, talk about something here in Massachusetts.
Okay.
But Baltimore, I think, was the main focus.
Yeah, you guys haven't gone to.
No, there has been nothing.
And you have a couple other properties in there?
2 in the name, not in Revere.
Excuse me. Yeah, okay. And any other assets?
There's what's in Belgrade. There's a condo there and probably a small bank account that her and her mother share.
That would be like an account bank in Belgrade?
Yeah.
Is the condo in Belgrade in her name or is her mom's?
It's in mom's name. But they also have a piece of property across that her and her sister own. There's a piece of property across from the condo in Belgrade that her and her sister inherited from her father. And then there's her, it doesn't sound like she went international, but then there's the country house, which is about 45 minutes out of Belgrade. That's in her mother's name. It was never in her father's name.
And these are all, the assets we talked about in the U.S., those are all.
All right, folks, we'll pivot away from this murder trial in Dedham, Massachusetts, to a new feed that we're seeing here in the Live Impact News studio. Looks like we have House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries making an address right now. Let's listen in.
In America, costs have gone up. The Trump tariffs are increasing expenses on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. Housing costs are out of control. Grocery costs are out of control. Child care costs are out of control. Electricity bills are through the roof. And now Republicans refuse to do a thing to prevent health care costs from dramatically increasing in a way that will deprive tens of millions of Americans of the ability to go see a doctor when they need one. Republicans have done nothing over the last several months to address the health care crisis that they have created. And they continue to refuse to take yes for an answer. Democrats have an active discharge petition, and all we need are a handful of House Republicans to join us. And we can trigger an up or down vote on a 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits to save the health care of the American people in every single state in this country, and protect the health care of people who these so-called Republican members allegedly represent, but who have failed to do a single thing to make their life better. Question?
Leader Jeffries, your Senate Democrat colleagues have previously expressed openness to reforming the credits, working through differences. Why propose a 3-year extension?
Time has run out on Republican inaction. They have done nothing over the last 60 days but stumble, fumble, and bumble as it relates to addressing the healthcare crisis that they've created. Understand that this year, House Republicans enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. These extremists have thrown 14 million people off of Medicaid. At the same period of time, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing all throughout the country, including in rural America, because of what Republicans have done in their one big ugly bill. They've launched an unprecedented assault on the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institute of Health, jeopardizing the well-being of the American people. Vaccines are increasingly unavailable in the United States of America. Children are getting sick unnecessarily all across the country. And now on top of all of that, that parade of horribles, Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which are going to expire this month. Time has run out on Republicans playing partisan games. We have a discharge petition that if it received an up or down vote in the House of Representatives, we are confident will pass. But obviously Mike Johnson has zero interest in protecting the health care of the American people. Instead, these extremists are gutting the health care of the people that they represent, including in the state of Louisiana.
Senate Democrats next week will be able to put up a vote for the ACA subsidies. Do you think there's any plan that Republicans would actually get on board with to have a bipartisan bill? And if not, what should Democrats come up with?
There are Republicans in the House and the Senate who, during the Trump Republican shutdown, consistently said that once the shutdown ends that they caused, that they'd be willing to address the healthcare crisis that they've created. Most immediately by extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Now, we hear nothing but crickets from them. It even appears that the Trump administration was ready to put forth a plan that would at least have been worthy of consideration, and that Mike Johnson tanked it. So now, Mike Johnson wants to act like he's the Speaker of the House. Really, when it comes to the health care of the American people and possibly doing something bipartisan, he wants to act like he's in control, when the reality is he's done nothing but bend the knee to Donald Trump since January 20th. I mean, House Republicans have been nothing but a rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda since January 20th. And when it appears that Donald Trump actually might be willing to enter into a good faith bipartisan negotiation to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, House Republicans detonate the agreement. These people aren't serious about anything other than providing massive tax breaks to their billionaire donors. That's not a hypothetical statement. That's not hype. That's not hyperbole. It happened. They enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. They ripped food out of the mouths of hungry children and seniors and veterans. This year, in their one big ugly bill, $186 billion cut to SNAP. And why did they do all of that? So they could reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks. And so the extremists are just showing the American people who they are. And as a result, the only viable path forward, it appears, in the House and in the Senate, is a straight extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Let's see what Senate Democrats put on the floor next week, and we'll continue to press our case on our side of the Capitol.
Thank you, Lady Representative. I just wanted to ask if there's been any kind of formal or informal back channeling with Republicans who might be supportive of the discharge petition going on at all.
Well, you had 13 Republicans a few weeks ago indicate in a letter that they wrote to Deputy Speaker Mike Johnson that as soon as their shutdown was over, they wanted to address the Affordable Care Act tax credits. But now it's nothing but silence from these people because they're not serious about helping the American people, the hardworking American taxpayers that they purport to represent. This has become painfully obvious to the American people, which is why Republicans are getting wiped out electorally all across the country, as we saw last month. Literally in every single state in the union, destroyed up and down the ballot across the country. Statewide races to local races and everything in between. Because the American people are done with these people. They've been a disaster. They lied about fighting the low or the high cost of living. Instead, they've just jammed their extreme right-wing policies down the throats of the American people who are being hurt as a result. And, you know, our view about the situation, as we've repeatedly said, is that we're open to finding a bipartisan path forward. But the extremists continue to refuse to take yes for an answer. They had an opportunity, right, to accept a very reasonable proposal that Leader Schumer put on the table a few weeks ago, which was a straight 1-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits, and then a bipartisan commission to discuss improvements to the health care of the American people over a multi-year period of time. What was objectionable about that? But Republican extremists rejected it because they have no interest in doing anything to make life better for working class Americans, everyday Americans, and hardworking American taxpayers. And that's a shame.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the discharge petition, is it your expectation that all House Democrats will sign as of today, I believe 212 or 213 have signed? Is it your expectation that all of the bills that Congress will sign? And following up on the question about that channel conversation, is it your position that the fact that the subsidies expire in 30 days, the urgency that you say, you know, the moment requires, is that enough for Republicans to sign on, or will it require some proactive conversations on the part of House Democrats to get them to break ranks with leadership and sign on to this effort?
Well, there certainly haven't been any leadership conversations because Mike Johnson has zero interest in protecting the health care of the American people, and he's repeatedly made that clear. Now, in terms of whether there are conversations member to member between the House Democratic Caucus and members of the House Republican Conference, there certainly have been some informal conversations led by folks like Tom Suozzi, who has floated a 2-year proposal with some, you know, modest reforms that we have to take a look at. But there's no indication that even that proposal has support from House Republican leadership. These people have zero interest in making life better for everyday Americans. And they repeatedly make that clear. They're in the face of the American people about it. Meanwhile, you got Donald Trump issuing reckless pardons, destroying half of the White House, bailing out Argentina, hosting erratically on Thanksgiving. Like, this guy can't even give us a break on Thanksgiving when we're with our families. And the American people have had enough of it. These people have gone way too far. They've broken every single promise that they've had. And so, I guess we can always hope that there are a handful of Republicans who will actually do what they said that they would do once their shutdown ended, which is to work with Democrats to find a path forward. But that path right now is an extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. I think our discharge petition in record time is now up to about 212, 213. It is my expectation that we will have complete and total unity amongst House Democrats. Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Hilliard. I mean, you just mentioned how Republicans are getting wiped out across the country with some in past elections. What's your expectation tomorrow in Tennessee? Do you think the Democrat there could potentially pull it off, given the polling that we have seen in recent weeks?
Seems to me that it's going to be an unexpectedly close election, a single-digit election. That's shocking. In deep red Tennessee, Mark Green's district. By the way, this is a district literally that Donald Trump just won by 22 points last November. This is not a district that anyone believes should be competitive. No rational person believes this district should be competitive. And yet, it's apparently very competitive. It's going to be a much closer than expected race. Republicans have already lost. The fact that they are spending millions of dollars to hold a seat that Donald Trump just won by 22 points is extraordinary, and more evidence that Republican extremists are completely and totally on the run because they have failed the American people. And it's Democrats who are making the case all over the country that we are actually the ones fighting to lower the high cost of living, fighting to fix our broken healthcare system, and fighting to clean up the type of corruption that has the American people disgusted. What I don't understand is that Republicans keep doubling and tripling down on their extremism, and it ain't working. They are losing all over the place. Donald Trump's approval rating in the most recent Gallup poll is 36%. 60% of the American people disapprove of this guy. He's a disaster. And now the president and Mike Johnson are holding a rally tonight in Mark Green's district that Trump just won by 22 points because they're scared to death about what could happen. If these people, these extremists, were actually rational, instead of doubling and tripling down on their extremism, continuing to lie to the American people, why don't they just change direction and actually partner with Democrats to solve problems on behalf of the American people? When the Congress convened at the start of the year, we made very clear we'll work with anyone, anytime, any place, new administration, other side of the aisle, to make life better for the American people. But Republicans have refused. They've gone down this my way or the highway approach. And we're not down with that, because we're not going to go along to get along when their policies are hurting the American people.
Peter, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Trump's immigration plan to ban third world citizens. I mean, America, a lot of them are trying to come here to be able to make a better life, and have your thoughts on it.
Yeah, our view is that, one, of course, we support the notion of having strong border security. No one ever disputes that. We have a broken immigration system. We need to fix it, but it should be fixed in a comprehensive and bipartisan way. But at the same period of time, we are going to stand up for law-abiding immigrant families and communities who have been under assault by Donald Trump and the so-called Secretary of Homeland Security. They're a disgrace. We're going to stand up for dreamers. We're going to stand up for farm workers and for farmers who have been crushed by Donald Trump's extreme policies. And in this country, it shouldn't be that complicated. That we are both a nation anchored in the rule of law and a nation of immigrants, a gorgeous mosaic of people from all across the world. It's why we're the envy of the world, because that is one of the ingredients in American exceptionalism. And the American people actually don't want us to lose it, which is why even Donald Trump's immigration policies right now are deeply unpopular and underwater.
So, the White House is denying that Secretary Hegseth had anything to do with the double tap strikes on the alleged Venezuelan drug boats in the Caribbean. A, do you believe that? And B, if he or any other administration officials are found to have been culpable for any war crimes, do you think that Democrats will take some sort of punitive legislative action against them?
The White House is lying, but that's no surprise, because they lie for a living, and the American people know it. It's my understanding that Pete Hegseth, the so-called Secretary of Defense, was absolutely involved. I think he may have even recently acknowledged that, because the facts are incapable of being disputed. And so the question in front of us, and I believe there will be bipartisan investigations in both the House and in the Senate, in order to determine whether war crimes were committed and either U.S. law or international law or both were violated. It's already been crystal clear that Pete Hegseth is the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in American history. I called for him to be terminated months ago when the Signalgate scandal first broke out. Everybody on Capitol Hill knows he should have never been confirmed. It's a shame. It's because these Senate Republicans, just like House Republicans, are nothing more than puppets for Donald Trump's extreme policies. That's why they put Pete Hegseth into that position when they knew he was woefully unqualified. And now we have real evidence that extrajudicial killings are taking place. That's the stain on America's leadership in the free world, which is why our international standing is plummeting. And of course, the standing of the Republican Party is a complete and total disaster here in the United States of America.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Following up on immigration, one of the more controversial policies President Trump announced in recent days is his intent to potentially strip citizenship away from anybody he feels isn't a benefit to the United States. I'm just curious, what's your reaction to that?
That was an unhinged statement by Donald Trump. He knows he doesn't have the capacity to strip citizenship away. He's behaving like a wannabe king, and the American people are rejecting that. Thanks.
I think it was your last press conference you made mention of the need to clean up the ethics in Washington. Do you support Chip Roy, bipartisan rule, and do you have any evidence that a bill like that could actually make it just not enough for years?
Yeah, it's not clear to me that the legislation introduced by Chip Roy is actually going to make it out of the Republican-run committee, yet alone on the House floor, because Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise and Republicans oppose the legislation. These people have zero interest in cleaning up the corruption that is benefiting members of their party in real time. We know that's the case because Donald Trump and his administration is the most corrupt administration in American history. It's not even close. Richard Nixon is way down in the distance. It's wild, the corruption that we're seeing in real time. And we don't hear a peep from Mike Johnson, Steve Scalise, or any of them about the corruption that's taking place in the administration, in the Supreme Court, or in the Congress. House Democrats have made clear, we overwhelmingly support a ban on congressional stock trading. And as soon as we can bring a bipartisan bill to the floor, and that may have to wait until we take the gavels back after.
All right, folks, Vanessa Rufus here in the Live Impact News studio. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We've got a bunch of feeds that we're keeping an eye on, and we'll be joining with, we believe will be a joint press conference with Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani from New York City. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to Live Impact News. As we mentioned, we are getting a feed in of a Starbucks strike announcement, and we're seeing Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders alongside New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. Let's listen in right now.
And with Starbucks workers, alongside workers of 32BJ, alongside workers from HTC, alongside workers from WGA, alongside workers from every single sector across this city, because we understand that no matter our trade, we are workers at the end of the day. And I am proud to be here today, and proud that senior members of my transition team and administration have joined Starbucks picket lines in the days and weeks prior. And I am proud to stand here alongside incredible elected officials at the city level, at the state level, and also to my left, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Because all of us are united in the belief that we must build a New York where every worker can live a life of decency. We must build a New York where our words do not ring hollow as we say that this is a union town. And we must build a New York where the workers who power it are able to afford to live in it. Thank you so much. And now, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Well, it is an honor for my wife and me to be here with you, to stand with striking Starbucks workers who are telling this company they are sick and tired of corporate greed and sick and tired of union busting.
That's right.
And what the mayor-elect just pointed out is that what is happening here on this picket line is happening all over this country. We are living in an economy where the people on top have never, ever had it so good. You got one man owning more wealth than the bottom 52% of American households. And while the CEOs make unbelievable salaries, 60% of our people in Vermont, in New York City, all over this country are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay the rent, struggling to pay for health care, struggling to put food on the table. And what Zohran and I are dedicated to is creating a nation and an economy which works for all of us, not just the 1%. That's right. So I just want to thank the Starbucks workers for their courage here and around this country. We are going to prevail. Thank you very much.
Just before we take a question, since I know we have some friends here with us, if we can first have a round of applause for the Starbucks workers themselves. We have Kai Fritz on my left, Noor Hayat on my right, and we have so many workers who have inspired us every single day, and I just want to say thank you before we even start the Q&A portion of this. And
Chuck Schumer stay in power in the Senate? Right now, what we're here to say that we are standing with Starbucks workers, and we're going to create an economy that works for all. And I'm proud to say that all over this country, we're seeing candidates doing exactly what the mayor-elect did here. They are running campaigns based on the grassroots. They're mobilizing volunteers. They're standing up to the oligarchy. And in fact, we are going to change this country.
Senator Sanders.
Regarding the allegations of investigation, can you be more specific about what can be done to resolve that? More than that, mayor-elect as mayor, aside from protesting and creating alongside these workers, and separately, I'd like to get your reaction to possibly the proposal that is raise the city council's pay.
So I'll go first question, and then we can go back to the second one. You know, as I was walking in Bernadette was asking me, when am I going to stop attending protests and be the mayor?
I know.
And I said, technically January 1st, I will be the mayor. But I also want to make a point, because I think there's a through line in both of the questions, which is that when I become the mayor of this city, I'm going to continue to stand on picket lines with workers across the fireplace. And I've said this to many of the unions that are here today, many of the rank and file, which is that we want to build an administration that is characterized by being there for workers every single step of the way. And sometimes in the fight for decency and dignity that workers are waging, their voices are drowned out. And when you are the mayor of New York City, you have with that a platform where you can speak about the hundreds of times that Starbucks has violated labor laws. A platform where you can speak about the fact that, yes, we celebrate what DCWP was able to accomplish in the largest ever settlement that has been won in this city, $28 million, and also that we will continue to commit funding both of a fiscal kind and also of our own sustained commitment in terms of the political will necessary to ensure that we hold these kinds of corporations accountable.
Quick question for both of you.
Sorry, she just asked this. My focus is on the affordability agenda that I ran on. That's what I'm focused on delivering. But I look forward to speaking with the council about any of the issues they want to bring up.
Over the weekend, he said this on Truth Social in all caps. He said he's lowered drug prices to levels never seen before. Do both of you see your stamp on that? And do you think he is the affordability president?
I will shock all of you in suggesting.
All right, folks, and we're pivoting away to join with another press conference. We have Senator Mark Kelly with a news conference regarding the Pentagon investigation over a video where he urged American troops to defy, in his words, illegal orders. Let's listen in.
And screwed over his contractors. He did it as a reality TV host known for firing people. And he's done it as president who tries every day to intimidate people with no regards for the rights or well-being of the American people. I'll say this for the guy. While he's never seemed to do much else right, for most of Donald Trump's career, bullying people has worked out for him. But not now. Because I won't let it happen. The American people won't let it happen. President Trump is trying to silence me, threatening to kill me for saying what is true. And he sent his Secretary of Defense after me. And it's not going to work. Here's how we got here. A week and a half ago, Senator Slotkin and I, along with others who also served in the military and the intelligence communities, we released a video with a simple message to service members that they must refuse illegal orders. Nothing was controversial about that. Everyone must follow the law. No one may break the law. This is pretty basic stuff. Seeing that video, here's how any other president would have responded. They would have said 2 words, of course. But that's not how this president responded. We've become so accustomed to Donald Trump's behavior that it is worth emphasizing. The President of the United States said that 2 U.S. senators and 4 members of the House of Representatives should be arrested, hanged, executed for something we said, for something that is true. My family knows the cost of political violence. My wife, Gabby, was shot in the head and nearly died while speaking with her constituents. The president should understand this too. He has been the target of political violence himself. The Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, Melissa Hortman, and her husband were murdered in their home this year. The governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, had his house firebombed this year. Then Charlie Kirk was assassinated at Utah Valley University, a place I visited just a few weeks ago with Republican Senator John Curtis. Faced with a wave like this, every other president we have ever had in the history of this nation would have tried to heal the country. But we all know Donald Trump. He uses every single opportunity to divide us. And that's dangerous. The president's words carry tremendous weight. People listen to him. And he knows that. And that's exactly why he does what he does. He makes these threats to silence people. And if that doesn't work, he abuses his power to intimidate people. And with the consent of Republicans in the United States Senate, he has surrounded himself with people like the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who will do whatever he says with no question, no matter what. Trump and Hegseth, they care more about publicity than they do about the rule of law. That's how I ended up finding out via a tweet that the Secretary of Defense was ordering an investigation into me. The same Secretary of Defense who has, from the moment he was nominated, has been historically unqualified for this position. The same Secretary of Defense who is reported to have ordered a second strike to kill shipwreck survivors in the Caribbean. If there is anyone who needs to answer questions in public and under oath, it is Pete Hegseth. It's a dangerous moment for the United States of America when the president and his loyalists use every lever of power to silence United States senators for speaking up. But we all know that this isn't about me, and it's not about the others in that video. They're trying to send a message to retired service members, to government employees, to members of the military, to elected officials, and to all Americans who are thinking about speaking up. You better keep your mouth shut or else. This has been a singular focus of President Trump's second term. Not addressing costs, not creating jobs, intimidating people, and going after the people he views as his political opponents. He's done it to companies. You better write a check to build my ballroom, or I might not approve your merger. He's done it with universities. You better fire your president, or I'll pull your research funding. He's even done it to late-night hosts. You better not make jokes that I do not like, or I'll get you taken off the air, and I'm going to take your company's broadcast license. And he does it every week with Republicans in the House and the Senate. You better toe the party line, or I'll make sure you never get reelected. Folks, this comes at a cost. And not only to American companies, colleges, and comedians. It damages every American's freedom of speech and the balance of powers that form the foundation of our democracy. Because when Republicans in Congress are too afraid to disagree with this president, it means that his bad ideas go unchallenged. He has slapped reckless tariffs on countries across the globe, skyrocketing the cost of everything from groceries to school supplies. Republicans historically, well, at least a year ago, they hated tariffs. But when it comes to voting to undo them, they are too afraid of Donald Trump. So Americans pay more for just about everything because of spineless politicians. It's the same with healthcare costs. There are Republicans in the House and the Senate who really want to do something to prevent these healthcare premiums from spiking for millions of Americans. The solutions are simple, but President Trump says he doesn't want to. So nothing happens. Nothing except a government shutdown. It goes on and on. The president has gone too far. Everybody needs to wake up. The occupant of the Oval Office is ignorant to the Constitution and has no regard for the rule of law. In trying to silence me, in proposing to court-martial me, in threatening to kill me, for fighting back when our democracy demands that we must fight back. President Trump has crossed a line. And this time, it's not going to work. I will not be intimidated by this president. I am not going to be silenced by this president or the people around him, because I've given too much in service to this country to back down to this guy. In 1991, when Donald Trump was driving the Taj Mahal casino into bankruptcy, I was getting shot at over Iraq and Kuwait. In 2001, after Donald Trump said that the collapse of the Twin Towers meant he now owned the tallest skyscraper in Manhattan, I was carrying flags honoring 9/11 victims into space on a rocket ship. In 2003, when Donald Trump was writing birthday greetings to the monster Jeffrey Epstein, I was the first on the scene to recover the bodies of my fellow astronauts who died when Space Shuttle Columbia exploded during re-entry. In 2011, when Trump was hosting a reality show and peddling conspiracy theories against President Barack Obama, I was sitting next to my wife's hospital bed as she recovered from a gunshot wound to the head. My point is this: I've been through a lot worse in service to my country. The president and Pete Hegseth are not going to silence me. They aren't going to keep me from speaking out, and they're not going to keep me from doing my job. Enough of the bullying, enough of the intimidation, enough of the threats, enough of your nonsense. Doesn't help anyone in our country afford their groceries or pay their medical bills. And it erodes the rights of every American. My job is to fight for them, to stand up for the Constitution, and nothing is going to stop me from doing my job. Thank you, and I'll take some questions. Hold on a second. Give me that folder there. Just sit this down here. Can you, well, I know it's Manu from CNN, but for everybody, just starting with you, just say who you are, you know, what station.
The White House said today that Admiral Bradley gave the order for that second strike on the Venezuelan boat. They also said this was a lawful strike. Yesterday, you said the second strike could be a war crime. Do you think that Bradley committed a war?
Let me just start, Manu, by saying that there needs to be an investigation. We need to pull some of these members of DOD and the military into the armed services committees in the House and the Senate. You know, that's what the White House is saying. I hope what has been reported is not accurate. I revere members of the United States Navy, especially special operators, Navy SEALs. These are the most highly trained, individuals in our military. I have deep, deep respect for them. So I hope what we are hearing is not accurate. I will say, though, as somebody who has sunk 2 ships myself, that folks in the military need to understand, the law of the sea, the Geneva Conventions, what the law says. And I'm concerned that if there were, in fact, as reported, survivors clinging to a damaged vessel, that could be, over a line. I hope it's not the case. I truly do.
Should Admiral Bradley resisted that order?
Again, I am, not sure of all the facts yet. I don't want to prejudge before we have all the information. I think it's important for there to be an investigation. The Inspectors General of DOD needs to investigate this. Unfortunately, an unqualified Secretary of Defense fired a bunch of them and got rid of a bunch of lawyers. I mean, Pete Hegseth, do I have a lot of confidence in DOD? Well, hopefully we have, Inspectors General there that will be doing an impartial investigation. I think we should wait for.
And we'll take a quick break here, folks. Back in 2 minutes, we will likely rejoin this feed with Senator Mark Kelly speaking on that Pentagon investigation into a video he made. We'll be back. All right, back here in the Live Impact News studio. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Vanessa Rufus. We will head back now to this live feed with Senator Mark Kelly discussing his response to a Pentagon investigation into a video he posted urging American troops to defy orders which he considers illegal.
Again, that's why he does these things, because he thinks he can shut me up. I have First Amendment rights. I'm a United States Senator. I am doing my job. I'm on the Armed Services and the Intelligence Committee. He ain't going to shut me up. I mean, he intimidates other people. I'm not intimidated by Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth or anybody else.
the secretary has had, and Secretary Hegseth, that is, if he's had any conversations with any members of the Armed Services Committee, and in terms of these calls to investigate, do you believe the Secretary and Admiral Bradley should appear before the Armed Services?
They absolutely should appear. You know, I've talked to the chairman of Armed Services about it and the ranking member. They should absolutely appear. I'm not so confident they will. This is not an administration that tends to follow any norms. But we need to get to the bottom of this, of what happened. And we are not Russia and Iraq. I'm really concerned if the reporting is correct. Again, I hope the reporting about this incident is not accurate. What the White House said today actually indicated it might be, but we're going to have to see.
Going back to the DOD matter, are you considering any legal action for the threats of being court-martialed or any of the fees or threats of investigations?
You mean like me suing Donald Trump for what he said? I think what he said about us is dangerous. It's ridiculous. It is a violation of our constitutional rights as Americans and our rights as senators to do our job, and he's trying to intimidate us. But I have not considered that, not at this point.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Florida, today. Do you see this as fundamentally First Amendment issue for you that you want to highlight against the president who's trying to silence you? And how do you see the whole process playing out?
Well, again, this isn't really about me. And that's why I think people are kind of got this a little bit off here. It's not about me. It's not about the other 5 members in the video. It's not about Alyssa Slotkin, Chris DeLuzio, Chrissy Houlihan, Jason Crow, Maggie Goodlander. It's not about us. This is about a president who doesn't want anybody to say anything that he does not like. I don't think he understands the Constitution. I'm serious about this. I think he is ignorant to the Constitution and the rule of law. And he just wants to silence us, and it starts with us. And that's one of the reasons people say, well, why wouldn't you just back off? Because this isn't about me. This is about what he will do next. Who's he going to go after next? Which service member? Which government employee? Which citizen who decides to say something that this president doesn't like? And then he goes after them, in my case with the Secretary of Defense. Who knows what's next? With the Attorney General? I mean, this DOJ has been just, attacking people for all kinds of stuff. And what's next? Our First Amendment rights? Ain't happening.
Noah Robertson, Washington Post. Can you tell us anything more about the FBI's involvement in the inquiry into you and the other lawmakers who appeared in the video? Have you scheduled an interview with them?
We haven't heard all that much. We got notified. I think the better question is, what is their motivation? Like, did this come from the FBI? Do you guys think the FBI? They went into their meeting that morning and said, of all the stuff that's going on in the country right now, we got to get right on top of this. These guys said something the president didn't like, and now we've got to do something about it. Or do you think it's possible that the president told his FBI director to tell the FBI agents to reach out to these guys? So I think this is a good question for you. All of you in here should be asking the FBI those questions. I don't have the answers to them. Yeah.
Can you tell us anything more about the Senate Armed Services Committee's inquiry into the September 2nd strike? The nature of the request for information submitted, what information has been sent back from DOD so far in your conversations with the chairman?
Well, we had a brief on the first 3 strikes, and I have said this, before 10 days ago, that they're tying themselves in knots trying to explain why this entire operation is legal. And I imagine eventually, I hope you have an opportunity to see the legal argument that they made to do this. It's important for the American people to see it. We have to get folks before the committee. And, you know, that process might take a little while, but I ultimately think we're going to get to the bottom of this. And again, if what seems to happen actually happened, I'm really worried about our service members. I was talking about this from the beginning of this operation, that the thing that I am most concerned about is the very difficult situations that this Secretary of Defense is going to put service members into. And it's because this guy is so unqualified for the job. I mean, think about this. He runs around on a stage talking about lethality and warrior ethos and killing people. We have the most competent, capable military this planet has ever seen by far. That's not the message that needs to come from the Secretary of Defense. The message should be about what's our mission and accountability and the rule of law and training. And let me make sure you're equipped to do really hard jobs. Let me give you all the tools you need to do something that often is an impossible mission. And instead, he runs around on a stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army. And it is